Sessions is now called to order. Please rise for the singing of our national anthem.
Bayang magiliw, perlas ng silanganan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, buyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupit, di ka masisingil. Sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit kong baghang, may nilang ang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdidinig. Ang bituin at araw niya kailan pang ay magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng warangit pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya na patay mga akin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Please remain standing for our silent prayer. Majority Leader.
Suspend muna. Move to suspend, Mr. Speaker.
Session suspended. Session resumed.
Mr. Speaker, I move to defer the calling of the roll.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion to defer calling of the roll is deferred. Majority Leader.
Pwede natin i-approve kung may quorum na. So, defer muna.
Mr. Speaker, I move to defer consideration of journal number 33, dated November 26, 2018.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we now proceed with the reference of business and that we request the Secretary General to read the titles of the bills and resolutions, including messages, communications, and committee reports. So
Is there
moved.
any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the bill, resolution, messages.
Reference of
committee
business,
report.
bills on first reading. House Bill 8638, creating an independent policy-making, quality assessing, research and regulatory body for the education system in the Philippines to be known as the Philippine Education Research and Regulatory Commission, Representative Lacson.
To the Committee of Basic Education.
House Bill 8639, providing for the mobile data allowance for all public school teachers, Representative Lacson.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 8640, requiring the use of standardized date labels on consumer products, Representative Lim Kai Chong.
To the Committee on Trade and Industry.
Resolutions, House Resolution numbers 2311 and 2314, urging the Committee on Oversight to investigate the policies of DBM on unreleased appropriations and other budget practices. Representative Suarez, Bravo, Atienza, Bertiz, Garbin, Paduano, Salon, Matugas, Belaro, among others.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 2312, urging the Committee on Oversight to investigate the laws, rules and regulations, policies and practices governing savings. Representative Suarez, Bravo, Atienza, Bertiz, Garbin, Paduano, Salon, Matugas, Belaro, among others.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 2313, urging the Committee on Oversight to investigate the laws, resolutions, rules and regulations, policies and practices governing the miscellaneous personal benefits fund and the pension and gratuity fund. Representative Suarez, Bravo, Atienza, Bertiz, Garbin, Paduano, Salon, Matugas, Belaro, among others.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 2316, congratulating, commending Kidlat Tahimik for being declared as National Artist for Film and Broadcast Arts. Representative Mark Go.
To the Committee on Public Information.
House Resolution 2317, requesting the Committee on Ecology to inquire on the illegal entry and dumping of hazardous plastic garbage from South Korea in the industrial estate in Tagoloan, Misamis Oriental. Representatives Juliet Uy, Acosta Alba, Xiao, Subiri, Uy, Rolando, Maximo, Rodriguez, Romualdo, Almonte, and Oaminal.
Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 2318, urging the House to recommit to the Committee on Legislative Franchises, House Bill 8179, and to have the same measure be jointly referred to the Committees on Legislative Franchises and Energy, Representative Velasco, Uybarreta, and Vergara.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 2319, urging the UP Board of Regents to reconsider its policy limiting the commutation of faculty sick leave benefits only to serious or severe illnesses in case of optional retirement. Representatives Tino and Castro France.
To the Committee on Higher and Technical Education.
House Resolution 2320, directing the DepEd to report to the Committee on Basic Education, Culture, and its policies on the promotion of teaching personnel. Representatives Tino, Castro France.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 2321, directing the DepEd to report to the Committee on Basic Education, Culture, on its policies in relation to the results-based performance management system. Representatives Tino and Castro France.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 2322, directing the DepEd and DBM to report to the Committee on Basic Education and Culture on the non-implementation of the provisions of RA 4670. Representatives Tino and Castro France.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 2323, directing the DepEd to report to the Committee on Basic Education and Culture on the delayed remittance or non-remittance of the personal and government shares of teachers, GSIS. Representatives Tino and Castro France.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 2324, directing the DepEd to report to the House Committee on Basic Education and Culture on the status of implementation of the K-12 program, Representatives Tino, Castro France, Elago, Zarate, De Jesus, and Casilao.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 2325, directing the Quezon City Police District and DepEd Division of Quezon City Schools to report to the Committee on Basic Education Culture on their MOU institutionalizing the QCPD Junior Police Project and directing the PNP and DepEd to report to Congress on similar agreements. Representatives Tino, Castro France, Elago, Zarate, De Jesus, and Casilao.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 2326, directing the Committees on Transportation Congressional Oversight to inquire on the consultancy contract signed between the Republic of the Philippines and the China Railway Design Corporation and the Guangzhou Wanan Construction Supervision Company for the PNR South Long Haul Project. Representative Suarez.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 2327, commending and congratulating Mr. Patrick Forlales for winning the recently concluded Cities of Our Future competition in the United Kingdom. Representative Silverio.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 2328, expressing the profound condolences of the House to the family of Gualberto Lumawig, former governor, representative of the province of Ifugao, Representatives Macapagal Arroyo, Andaya, and Suarez.
To the Committee on Rules.
Messages from the Senate. Message dated November 19, informing the House that the Senate on even date passed with amendments House Bill 8055.
To the Committee on Local Government.
Message dated November 19, informing the House that the Senate on even date passed without amendment House Bill 5161.
To the Committee on Rules.
Message dated November 19, informing the House that the Senate on even date passed Senate Bill numbers 1297 and 2059.
To the Committee on Rules.
Message dated November 19, informing the House that on even date that Senate designated Senators Escudero, Recto, Villar, and Rilon as conferees to the Bicameral Conference Committee on the disagreeing provisions of Senate Bill
the
1297 and House Bill 7742.
To the Committee on Rules.
Message dated November 19, informing the House that on even date Senate designated Senator Joel Villanueva as additional conferee to the Bicameral Conference Committee.
To the Committee on Rules.
Message dated November 19, informing the House that on even date the Senate designated Senators Villar, Recto, Escudero, Ejercito, Gatchalian, Drilon as conferees to the Bicameral Conference Committee.
To the Committee on Rules.
Message dated November 19, informing the House that on even date Senate designated Senators Angara, Recto, Binay, Pimentel, and Drilon as conferees to the Bicam on disagreeing provisions of Senate Bill 2059 and House Bill 4814.
To the Committee on Rules.
Message dated November 21, informing the House that on even date Senate reconsidered approval of Conference Committee report of the Bicameral Conference Committee on the disagreeing provision of Senate Bill 1753 and House Bill 2158.
To the Committee on Rules.
Message dated November 21, informing the House that on even date Senate approved Conference Committee reports on the disagreeing provisions of Senate Bill 1636 and House Bill 7652, 2031 and House Bill 5236.
To the Committee on Rules.
Message dated November 21, informing the House that on an even date the Senate designated Senators Escudero and Drilon as additional conferees to the Bicameral Conference Committee.
To the Committee on Rules.
Message dated November 22, informing the House that on November 21 that the Senate designated Senators Ejercito, Gatchalian, Villar, Angara as conferees to the Bicameral Conference Committee.
To the Committee on Rules.
Message dated November 22, informing the House that on November 21 the Senate designated Senators Villar, Recto, Escudero, Ejercito, Gatchalian, Drilon, and Pangilinan as conferees to the Bicameral Conference Committee on the disagreeing provisions of Senate Bill 1976 and House Bill 8552.
To the Committee on Rules.
Communication, letter dated 19 November of Acting Deputy Director, Office of the General Counsel and Legal Services, BSP.
To the Committee on Banks and Financial Intermediaries.
Committee reports. Report number 955 of the Committee on Higher and Technical Education and Appropriations on House Bill number 8650.
To the Committee on Rules.
Report number 956 of the Committee on Basic Education and Culture and Higher and Technical Education on House Bill 8654.
To the Committee on Rules. Majority Leader. Majority Leader.
Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move that we call the roll of members.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. The Secretary General is directed to call the roll.
Roll call of members, honorable representatives, Abaya, Abayon, Abellanosa, Abu, Abueg, Acheron, Acop, Acosta, Acosta Alba, Adyong, Advincula, Agabao, Agaraw, Albano, Alcala, Aleano, Almario, Almonte, Alonte, Alvarez Franz, Alvarez Mercedes, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amante, Amatong, Andaya, Angara Castillo, Antonino, Antonio, Aquino Magsaysay, Aragones, Arbison, Arcillas, Arenas, Atienza, Mentado, Bagao, Bagatsing, Bagilat, Banal, Barbers, Berzaga, Batawil, Batucabe, Bautista Bendigan, Belaro, Belmonte Feliciano, Belmonte Sir Christopher, Belmonte Ricardo, Benitez, Bernos, Bertis, Biason, Billones, Biron, Bolilla, Bondok, Bordado, Bravo Anthony, Bravo Maria Vida, Brosas, Bulot Begtang, Cagas, Calderon, Calixto Rubiano, Caminero, Campos, Canama, Cari, Casilao, Castelo, Castro Franz, Castro Fredinil, Catamco, Cayetano, Celeste, Serafica, Ciriles, Chavez, Chipeco, Co, Coanco, Collantes, Cortés, Cortuna, Cosalan, Crisólogo, Cua, Cuaresma, Cueva, Dalipe, Datol, Daza, De Jesus, De Venecia, Defensor, Del Mar, Del Rosario, De Los Montalia, De Maporo Abdullah, De Maporo Muhammad Khalid, Duavit, Durano, D, Elago, Enverga, Erice, Ergel, Ermita Buhain, Escudero, Espina, Espino, Estrella, Eusebio, Evardone, Fariñas, Fernando, Ferrer Juliet, Ferrer Luis, Ferriol, Florendo, Flores, Fortun, Fortuno, Fuentebella, Garbin, Garcia Gwendolyn, Garcia Jose Enrique, Garcia Albano, Garin Oscar, Garin Sharon, Gasataya, Gatchalian, Heron, Go Ana Cristina, Go Mark, Gomez, Gonzaga, Gonzales Alexandria, Gonzales Aurelio, Gonzales Fernando, Goroseta, Gullias, Hernandez Ferdinand, Hernandez Paul, Herrera D, Hofer, Halushos, Javier, Ko, Conhun, Labad-Labad, Lacson, Lagman, Lanete, Laugan, Lasatin, Liachon, Lee, Limkaichong, Lobregat, Lopez Benher, Lopez Carlo, Lopez Manuel, Loyola, Macapagal Arroyo, Maceda, Madrona, Malapitan, Manalo, Mangawang, Magundadato Suharto, Magundadato Sajid, Marcoleta, Marcos, Marino, Marquez, Martinez, Matugas, Villana, Mending, Mendoza, Mercado, Mirasol, Montoro, Nava, Nieto, Noel, Nograles, Nolasco, Nunez Malanyaon, Ominal, Ocampo, Olivares, Ong Edwin, Ong Henry, Ortega Pablo, Ortega Villinola, Pacquiao, Paduano, Palma, Pancho, Panganiban, Panotes, Papandayan, Pichay, Pico, Pimentel, Pineda, Plaza, Premisias Agabas, Kimbo, Radaza, Ramirez Sato, Ramos, Lampagos, Revilla, Roapuno, Robes, Rocamora, Rodriguez Isidro, Rodriguez Maximo, Roman, Romero, Romualdez, Romualdo, Roque, Sakdalan, Sagarbaria, Sahali, Salceda, Salimbangon, Salo, Salon, Sambar, Sandoval, Sangcopan, Santos Recto, Sarmiento Cesar, Sarmiento Edgar Mary, Sabellano, Sema, Xiao, Silverio, Singson, Swansing Estrelita, Swansing Horacio, Suarez, Si Alvarado, Tambunting, Tan Angelina, Tan Milagrosa, Tan Sherni, Tejada, Teves, Tiangco, Ting, Tino, Tolentino, Treñas, Tugna, Tupas, T, Umali, Unabia, Ungab, Unico, Uy Juliet, Uy Rolando, Uy Barreta, Vargas, Vargas Alfonso, Velarde, Velasco, Velasco Cartera, Veloso, Vergara, Villafuerte, Villanueva, Villarasa Suarez, Villarica, Villarin, Violago, Yap Arthur, Yap Milencio, Yap Victor, Yu, Zamora Mar Carmen, Zamora Ronaldo, Zarate Zubiri. Mr. Speaker, 189 members responded to the call.
With 198 responding to the call, the chair declares present to the quorum. Majority Leader?
Mr. Speaker, before we proceed, it's very important that we take note that
You may proceed.
that the Secretariat did a very accurate count. On the dot, we have 189 on the floor. Congratulations to them.
Thank you for the congratulatory message. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we approve Journal number 33 of November 26, 2018.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we suspend.
Session is suspended. Session resume.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we take up items under the calendar of business for the day.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we take up on second reading House Bill number 7206, contained in Committee Report number 617. And for this, please direct our Secretary General to read the title of the measure.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the bill.
House Bill 7206, an act granting Philippine citizenship to Muhammad Wasim Nanaa.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, in the meantime that we are preparing the sponsor, I move that we, for a while, suspend consideration of the said measure, that is House Bill number 7206.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
I move to suspend, Mr. Speaker.
Session is suspended.
Hanggang 15 lang po, wala 16.
Session resume.
Mr. Speaker, instead, I move that we take up House Bill number 8636 in Committee Report 946, and please direct our Secretary General to read the title of the measure.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the bill.
House Bill 8636, an act institutionalizing a national integrated cancer control program and appropriating funds therefore.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, to sponsor this measure, I move that we recognize one of the authors of the bill, the Honorable Chiki Roa Puno.
The Honorable Chiki Roa is recognized to sponsor the measure.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon to you, to our distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, particularly the 150 or so members of the Cancer Coalition Philippines in the gallery today, composed of members of I Can Serve, Brave Kids, Carewell, Philippine Cancer Society, Cancer Warriors, Breast Friends, Marikina Support Group, Pink Crusaders of Taguig, Child House, and others. Good afternoon to all of you. I stand before you today to present the merits of House Bill number 8636 in Committee Report number 946, which institutionalizes a national integrated cancer control program for the country. I present this on behalf of our committee chair, the Honorable Helen Tan, and the other authors of the said measure. Cancer, according to the Philippine Statistics Authority, is one of the leading causes of mortality and morbidity among adults and children in the Philippines. In 2013, deaths due to cancer disease ranked third for adults and fourth for children. A year prior, the International Agency for Research and Cancer reported that the country has recorded 269 new cases of adult cancer every day and every 11 hours of our existence. These figures account for about 7 Filipinos succumbing to death due to cancer every hour. The report further said that cancer mortality remained high even if a lot of cases and deaths are unaccounted, unrecorded, and unreported. Furthermore, cancer pushes Filipino families deeper into poverty because the costs of treatment are devastating and the economic burden is equally shattering. In fact, the mean out-of-pocket expenditure for cancer treatment far exceeded the mean household income of ordinary Filipino families. In 2016, a World Health Organization report stated that most cancers are now curable and that survival rates for various types of cancer now range from a high of 60 to 96% in high and growing middle-income countries. Sad to say, the Philippines' mortality rates from various types of cancer remain disturbing. Our survival rate for cancer is relatively low compared to other countries in Asia and the world. For females, all cancer mortality rate, the Philippines ranks second highest among 15 countries in Asia, with 124 deaths per 100,000 population. Compared to Asian countries, the Philippines has the highest mortality rate for breast and prostate cancers. Lung cancer mortality rates are high, exceeding 40 deaths per 100,000 population. For childhood cancers, the Philippines registered a low 30% survival rate, when high-income countries have an average survival rate of 84%. In addition, the WHO projected that by 2030, the incidence of cancer will increase by as much as 80%, with the greatest impact felt in low-resource countries like our own. In order to avoid 50 to 60% of cancer mortality in the country, specific mechanisms and strategies for prevention and treatment shall be established, and an integrated, multidisciplinary, multi-sectoral, and a nationwide cancer control and management for all types of cancer, for all genders and ages, shall be established. In September 2018, the WHO Global Initiative for Childhood Cancer announced that to achieve at least 60% survival rate for children with cancer by 2030, an increased prioritization of childhood cancer, and an expanded capacity to deliver best practices in childhood cancer care is definitely necessary. Thus, there are 3 main objectives of House Bill number 8636. Number 1, to promote an integrated and comprehensive approach to health development, which includes strengthening of integrative, multidisciplinary, patient and family-centered cancer control policies, programs, systems, interventions, and services at all levels of healthcare care delivery. Number 2, to improve survivorship by scaling up essential programs and increasing investments for robust prevention of cancer, better screening, prompt and accurate diagnosis, responsive palliative care and pain management, timely and optimal treatment, effective survivorship care and late effects management and rehabilitation. And third, to make cancer treatment and care more equitable and affordable for all, especially for the underprivileged, poor, and marginalized Filipinos. Moreover, the measure endeavors to accomplish the following: to establish a national integrated cancer control program intended to decrease the overall mortality and impact of all adult and childhood cancer, to lessen the incidence of preventable cancer in adults and children, prevent cancer recurrence and secondary cancer among survivors and people living with cancer, to provide timely access to optimal cancer treatment and care for all cancer patients, and make cancer treatment and care more affordable and accessible, among others. Number 2, to create a national integrated cancer control advisory council, a recommendatory body for policy matters related to cancer control. Number 3, to establish a cancer assistance fund under the management of the Department of Health to support cancer medicine and treatment assistance programs. Number 4, to accord rights and privileges to cancer patients similar to persons with disabilities or PWDs in accordance with RA 7277 as amended, or the Magna Carta for Disabled Persons. Number 5, expand the PhilHealth benefit package to persons afflicted with cancer. Currently, PhilHealth offers case rates to the following types of cancer: acute lymphocytic or lymphoblastic leukemia at 500,000, Breast cancer, 100,000. Prostate cancer, 100,000. Cervical cancer, 120 to 175,000. Colon cancer and rectal cancer, 150 to 400,000. Meanwhile, the DOH currently has the Breast Cancer Medicines Access Program, or BCMAP, where each patient enrolled in the program receives the following: 18 cycles with 21 days intervals in between, each cycle requiring 2 to 3 vials of 150 milligrams IV trastuzumab, depending upon the weight of the patient, while for 600 milligrams vial of subcutaneous trastuzumab required only for 1 vial per cycle, regardless of the patient's weight. Since it was introduced in 2017, the DOH has capacity to cater to only 169 patients out of the 4,000 HER2 positive patients in the country. And as of 2018, the number of HER2 positive patients enrolled in BCMAP are 390, which exceeds the initial target of 169. Just a few more provisions. Number 6, to mandate the DOH and other agencies to install reforms to ensure early access of patients to medicines, health technologies, and a sufficient supply of medicines for palliative and pain management at an affordable price. Number 7, to promote non-discriminative practices to cancer patients and cancer survivors, such as in employment opportunities. Number 8, to promote health education and promote cancer and cancer-related information in educational institutions, such as offering degree programs for high-priority oncology-related specializations and continuing education programs related to oncological treatment and care and in the workplace and in the community. Number 9, to establish a nationwide regional cancer centers, or several. Number 10, and finally, to establish a national cancer registry monitoring system to cover all forms of cancer among adults and children. Given the aforementioned considerations, the government must act now to institutionalize an integrated, multidisciplinary, multi-sectoral, nationwide cancer control and management for all types of cancer for all Filipinos. This measure is our commitment to the 70th World Health Assembly resolution of the WHO, in which member states shall increase its efforts to strengthen and expand health systems at the national and local levels on the integrated prevention, control, and management of cancer. As legislators, we are duty-bound to uphold the health and well-being of our people. It is our responsibility to save our people from deadly cancer disease. Cancer can be cured. All that we have to do now is act, and act fast. Let us approve this measure, and together we move to a healthier and cancer-free Philippines. I so move, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, there being no interpellations, I move that we close the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of committee amendments.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, there being no committee amendments, I move that we close the period of committee amendments.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of individual amendments.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the individual amendment is open.
There being no individual amendments, I move that we close the period of individual amendments.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we approve on second reading House Bill number 8636.
All those who are in favor of House Bill 8636 say aye. Those who oppose say nay. I have it. House Bill 8636 is approved on second reading.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move that we designate the following members to the Bicameral Conference Committee on the Disagreeing Provisions of House Bill number 7742 and Senate Bill number 1297, amending the new Central Bank Act. They are as follows: Representatives Henry Ong, Ben Evardone, Pablo Ortega, Strike Revilla, George Almonte, Jose Tejada, Jose Antonio C. Alvarado, Scott Davis Laniete, Frederick Shaw, Orestes Salon, Gerald Anthony Gullias Jr., Francisco Matugas II, Erico Aristotel Aumentado, Harlin Neil Abayon, and Raul Tupas. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I
Majority
move
Leader.
that we resume consideration of House Bill number 720. And for this, please again direct our Secretary General to read the title of the measure.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the bill.
House Bill 7206, an act granting Philippine citizenship to Muhammad Wasim Naa.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
To sponsor the measure, Madam Speaker, one of the principal authors of this measure, I move that we recognize the Honorable Deputy Speaker Linabel Villarica.
Honorable Villarica is recognized to sponsor the measure.
For this measure.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The bill actually has been approved during the last Congress, but it has been refiled. So may I request that my exploratory note be considered as my sponsorship speech?
Is there any objection?
Mr. Speaker, with that, I move that we have the explanatory note of this measure as the sponsorship speech.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
There being no interpellations, Mr. Speaker, I move that we close the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? The period of amendment is open.
There being no amendments, Mr. Speaker, that coming from the committee or individual, I move that we close the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the period of amendment is closed.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we approve on second reading House Bill number 7206.
Those who are in favor of House Bill 7203, say aye.
Aye.
Those who oppose, say nay. I have it. House Bill 7206 hereby approved on second reading.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we take up on second reading House Bill number 8649, contained in Committee Report number 954. And for this, please direct our Secretary General to read the title of the measure.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the bill.
House Bill 8649, an act renaming Clark International Airport
Saan ito?
located in Angeles City, Province of Pampanga as Diosdado Macapagal International Airport.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there an objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
To sponsor the measure, Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the Chairman of the Committee on Transportation, the Honorable Cesar Sarmiento.
The Honorable Sarmiento is recognized to sponsor the measure.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. This representation respectfully requests that the explanatory note contained in the proposed measure be treated as the sponsorship speech, and maybe I be allowed to quote a paragraph in support of the proposed measure, reiterating how the Papanggeños valued President Diosdado Macapagal's accomplishments and contributions to the country, such as land reform, free enterprise, social welfare programs, a moral regeneration program to eradicate graft and corruption, and abolition of tenancy, among others, the Sangguniang Panlalawigan of Pampanga on July 27, 2018, issued Resolution number 5124 entitled A Resolution Urging His Excellency President Rodrigo Roa Duterte and both houses of Congress to issue a presidential proclamation and appropriate legislation respectively reverting or renaming the Clark International Airport located at the Clark Freeport Zone in Pampanga to Diosdado Macapagal International Airport. So move, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, with that, I move that we read into the records the rest of the explanatory note as the sponsorship speech. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker,
May we know, Mr. Speaker, what is the pleasure of the Honorable Atienza?
we would like to interpolate the gentleman with his permission.
May I move that we recognize the gentleman, Mr. Speaker, for the interpellation.
The Honorable Tensa is recognized for interpellation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Majority Floor Leader. And again, with the kind indulgence of the sponsor, let me just react to what you said, that the man we are renaming Clark Airport into is well loved by the Pampangueños. I'd like to reiterate and center on that point. Are you of firm belief that former President Macapagal was loved only by the Pampangueños?
Well, of course, it's not only in the province of Pampanga because at one time he served as president and well-loved in other places other than the province of Pampanga.
So therefore, it is not accurate to say that he is well-loved by the Pampangueños because it is a fact that former President Diosdado Macapagal, the poor boy from Lubao, who defeated the economic tsars and oligarchy of that period and proving himself as a great president who did not give us problems but rather solutions. I remember with Fundes, where rice was selling at 80 centavos per ganta, not kilo, during the time of President Diosdado Macapagal. And since Clark Airport is an international airport, and not just for Pampangueños, but for all Filipinos to use. And in fact, visitors to also benefit from that airport. The name Diosdado Macapagal should be properly explained in whatever historical marker we will put there. That he is well loved by the Filipinos in general. And the economy during his time was very, very robust and healthy, unlike the picture that we now see. So I'd like to add a little more to that statement. We are renaming the airport of Clark to Diosdado Macapagal simply because we Filipinos look back with appreciation to the accomplishments of this former president, whom we admired and continue to admire up to now. Would the gentleman agree with that
Yes,
redefinition of his position?
this representation appreciates the statements made by the honorable gentleman from Buhay Party List.
Yun lang po naman. Mr. Speaker, thank you. Gentleman sponsoring the measure, thank you. We support the measure wholeheartedly.
Majority Leader.
There being no other interpellations, Mr. Speaker, I move that we close the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the period of amendment is open.
Mr. Speaker, there being no amendments coming from the committee or those coming from the individual members, I move that we close the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we approve on second reading House Bill number 8649.
Those who are in favor of House Bill 8649, say aye. Those who oppose, say nay. I have it. House Bill 8649 is hereby approved on second reading. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, on October 10, 2018, we ratified the Bicameral Conference Committee report on the disagreeing provisions of House Bill number 2158 and Senate Bill number 1753 on rationalizing and expanding the powers and duties of the Social Security system. With leave of the House, I move that we reconsider the ratification of the said Bicameral Conference Committee report.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. Majority Leader.
On account of that approval of that motion, Mr. Speaker, I move that we designate the following members to the Bicameral Conference Committee on the disagreeing provisions of House Bill number 2158 and Senate Bill 1753 on rationalizing and expanding the powers and duties of the Social Security system. Namely, Representatives Prospero Pichay, Mark Go, Jesus Sakdalan, Alfred Vargas, Rogelio Espina, Orestes Salon. So moved, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The following conference individual are hereby designated. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, may we greet the guests of Honorable Benhur Salimbangon, who are here in the plenary. They are Barangay Captain Egmedeo Saplad, his spouse, Barangay Councilors Danilo Saplad, Armando Tumabini, Maria Bore, Benji Pilones, Gary Gonzaga, Yonalyn Kiaot, Samparado, Conchas, Roderick Empas, Glenna Pilones, Cherry Ancajas, Dennis Saplad, Rosalinda Saplad, and Lolita Pableo. They are from the barangay officials of Barangay Gibitngil, Municipality of Medellin, Cebu.
The guests of Representative Salimbangon, please rise to be recognized. Welcome to the House of Representatives. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we take up House Bill number 8394, Committee Report number 890, and please direct the Secretary General to read the title of the measure.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the bill.
House Bill 8394, an act providing for the full and effective implementation and enforcement of international maritime instruments of which the Philippines is a state party.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, to sponsor the measure, I move that we recognize one of the principal authors of the measure, the Honorable Jesus Manalo.
Mr. Speaker, I respectfully move that the sponsorship of the bill the explanatory note rather of the bill be considered as a sponsorship for the approval of the consolidated bill 8394 as contained in Committee Report 890.
Majority Leader.
We join the gentleman in his motion to have the explanatory note as the sponsorship speech, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, there being no interpellations, I move that we close the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of amendments.
Is there an objection? The period of amendment is open.
There being no amendments, Mr. Speaker, those coming from the committee or those coming from individual members, I move that we close the period of committee of amendments.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we approve on second reading House Bill number 8394.
House Bill 8394. All those who are in favor, say aye. Those who oppose, say nay. Ayes have it. House Bill 8394 is hereby approved on second reading.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we take up House Bill number 8637 contained in Committee Report number 947. Please direct our Secretary General to read the title of the measure.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. The Secretary General is so directed.
House Bill 8637, an act creating the Regional Investment and Infrastructure Coordinating Hub of Central Luzon and providing funds therefor.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the sponsors and debate is open.
Mr. Speaker, to sponsor the measure, I move that we recognize the distinguished chairman of the Committee on Government Enterprises, the Honorable Jesus Sakdalan.
The Honorable Sakdalan is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the committee report will be an act creating the Regional Investment and Infrastructure Coordinating Hub of Central Luzon and providing funds therefore be considered for approval, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, with that we join the motion of the gentleman to have the explanatory note as the sponsorship speech.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
There being no interpellations, Mr. Speaker, I move that we close the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? The period of amendment is open.
There being no amendments coming from the committee or from the individual members, I move that we close the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we approve on second reading House Bill number 8637.
Those who are in favor of House Bill 8637, say aye. Those who oppose, say nay. Ayes have it. House Bill 8637 is hereby approved on the second reading. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we consider on second reading House Bill number 8629 in Committee Report number 939.
Is there any objection?
Mr. Speaker, kindly direct our Secretary General for this purpose to read the title of the
The
measure.
Secretary General is directed to read the title of the bill.
House Bill 8629, an act institutionalizing an energy efficiency and conservation program.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
To sponsor the measure, Mr. Chairman, I move that we recognize the distinguished chairman of the Committee on Energy,
The
the
Honorable
Honorable Lord Alan Velasco.
The Honorable Velasco is recognized to sponsor the measure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would just like to request that the explanatory note of the said bill be adopted as the sponsorship speech.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we have the explanatory note of this measure as the sponsorship speech.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
There being no interpellations, Mr. Speaker, I move that we close the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? The sponsorship and debate is closed.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? The period of amendment is open.
There being no amendments from the committee or from the individual members of the House, I move that we close the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we approve on second reading House Bill number 8629.
Those who are in favor of House Bill 8629, say aye. Those who are in opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. House Bill 8629 is hereby approved on second reading. Majority Leader.
I move for a brief suspension, Mr. Speaker.
Session suspended.
Sandito si Bay. May we resume, Mr. Speaker?
Session is resumed.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we consider House Bill on second reading, House Bill number 8590, in Committee Report number 931. And please direct our Secretary General to read the title of the measure.
The Secretary General so directed.
House Bill 8590, an act declaring the first day of February of every year as National Hijab Day.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, to sponsor the measure, I move that we recognize the Honorable Bai Sandra Sema.
The Honorable Sema is recognized to sponsor the measure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I move that the explanatory note of House Bill 8590 under Committee Report 931 be adopted as the sponsorship speech, Mr. Speaker.
We join the distinguished lady, Mr. Speaker, in her motion to have the explanatory note as the sponsorship speech.
Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, there being no interpellations, I move that we close the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? The period of amendment is open.
There being no amendments from the committee or from the individual members, I move that we close the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? The period of amendment is closed.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we approve on second reading House Bill number 8590.
Those who are in favor of House Bill 8590, say aye.
Aye.
Those who oppose, say nay. Ayes have it. 8590 is hereby approved on second reading. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, may we recognize the guest of the Honorable Majority Leader, Honorable Rolando Adaya. They are from Cancer Coalition of the Philippines. They are advocates, organizations and advocates which comprise the CCPH, members of which are in the plenary, and they are from the Philippine Society of Oncologists, Philippine Society of Medical Oncology, Philippine Medical Association, Eye Cancer Foundation, Brave Kids, Philippine Children's Medical Center, PHAP, Cancer Warriors Foundation, Carewell, Citizen Watch Philippines, and also the various support groups to include Child House, Philippine Children's Medical Center, Kaboobs, Ostomy Association of the Philippines, Aruga, Cancer Fighters, Taguig City Pink Crusaders, Taguig Patient Navigators, and Barangay Health Workers, and Breast Friends, Marikina Support Group. They are in the plenary. Mr. Speaker, may we recognize them?
The guests of our Majority Leader, Rolando Andaya, please rise to be recognized. Welcome to the House of Representatives. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, may we also recognize the guests of Honorable Gabriel Bordado of the 3rd District of Camarines Sur. They are Provincial Board Member They are barangay officials, Punong Barangay Joel Manayoba, Kagawads Alvin Lazo, Jigger Joven, Richard Cuenco, Bryant Raguliano, Secretary Lilibeth Monte Alegre, Eduardo Montalegre, the President of the Morogohan Organization, and the Barangay Secretary Gina Basan. They are barangay officials from Barangay Binobong Pili, Camarines Sur.
The guests of Representative Bordado, please rise to be recognized. Welcome to the House of Representatives. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, may we also recognize the guest of Honorable Paul Hernandez of the Kabayan Party List. They are Mrs. Rosel Hernandez, Pastor Glenn Johnson, Mrs. Teresa Johnson, Pastor J. Peach, Mrs. Annalisa Peach, Mr. John Rich Cabatuan, and Mr. Jason Peach.
The guests of Honorable Hernandez, please rise to be recognized. Welcome to the House of Representatives. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we take up on second reading House Bill number 8630 in Committee Report 940. Please direct our Secretary General to read the title of the measure.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the bill.
House Bill 8630, an act renewing for another 25 years the franchise granted to ABC Development Corporation, presently known as TV5 Network Incorporated, under Republic Act 7831, entitled An Act Granting ABC Development Corporation under the business name Associated Broadcasting Company a franchise to construct, install, and operate and maintain a radio and television broadcasting stations in the Philippines.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
To sponsor the measure, Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the distinguished chairman of the Committee on Franchises, the Honorable Franz Alvarez.
The Honorable Alvarez is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, may I request that the explanatory note be entered as the sponsorship speech?
We join the motion of the gentleman, Mr. Speaker, to have the explanatory note as the sponsorship speech.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
There being no interpellations, Mr. Speaker, I move that we close the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? The period of amendment is open.
There being no amendments coming from the committee or from the individual members, I move that we close the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? The period of amendment is closed.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we approve on second reading House Bill number 8630.
Those who are in favor of House Bill 8630, say aye. Those who oppose, say nay. Ayes have it. House Bill 8630 is hereby approved on second reading.
Mr. Speaker, I
Majority
move
Leader.
that we take up on second reading House Bill number 8633 in Committee Report number 944. And please direct our Secretary General to read the title of the measure.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the bill.
House Bill 8633, an act renewing for another 25 years the franchise granted to Ultimate Entertainment Incorporated under Republic Act 8102, entitled An Act Granting the Ultimate Entertainment Incorporated a franchise to construct, install, maintain, and operate radio broadcasting stations within the Philippines.
Mr.
Majority
Speaker,
Leader.
I move that we open the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? Hearing none. The sponsorship and debate is open.
To sponsor the measure, Mr. Speaker, I move that we again recognize the distinguished chairman of the Committee on Franchises, the Honorable Franz Alvarez.
The Honorable Alvarez is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, may I request that the explanatory note be entered as the sponsorship speech?
Mr. Speaker, I move that we have the explanatory note as the sponsorship speech. I so move.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, there being no interpellations, I move that we close the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? The period of sponsorship and debate is closed.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? The period of amendment is open.
Mr. Speaker, there being no amendments from the committee or the individual members, I move that we close the period of amendments.
Is there an objection? The period of amendment is closed.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we approve on second reading House Bill number 8633.
Those who are in favor of House Bill 8633, say aye. Those who oppose, say nay. The ayes have it. House Bill 8633 is hereby approved on second reading.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we take up on second reading House Bill number 8541, contained in Committee Report number 922, and please direct our Secretary General to read the title of the measure.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the measure.
House Bill 8541, an act establishing the Philippine Space Development and Utilization Policy and creating the Philippine Space Agency, defining the purpose and scope of its activities and appropriating funds therefore.
Majority
Mr.
Leader,
Speaker, I move that we open the period of sponsorship and debate.
is there any objection? Hearing none. Motion is approved.
To sponsor the measure, Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the chairman of the Committee on Government Reorganization, the Honorable Michael Velarde.
The Honorable Velarde is recognized to sponsor the measure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I request that the sponsorship speech be submitted, Mr. Speaker?
With that, Mr. Speaker, I move that we have the explanatory note of this measure as the sponsorship speech.
Is there any objection? Hearing none. Motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, there being no interpellations, I move that we close the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? Hearing none. Motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? The period of amendment is open.
Mr. Speaker, there being no amendments from the committee and the individual members, I move that we close the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? The period of amendment is closed.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we approve on second reading House Bill number 8541.
Those who are in favor of House Bill 8541, say aye. Those who are opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. 8541 is hereby approved on second reading.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we take up on second reading House Bill number 8628 in Committee Report number 938. And please direct our Secretary General to
The
read
Secretary
title of the
General
measure.
is directed to read the title of the bill.
House Bill 8628, an act transferring the Philippine National Police Academy and the National Police Training Institute from the Philippine Public Safety College to the Philippine National Police, amending for the purposes Section 24, 35, 66, and 67 of Republic Act 6975, otherwise known as the Department of Interior Local Government Act of 1990, as amended.
Majority Leader,
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of sponsorship and debate.
is there any objection? Hearing none. Motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the distinguished chairman of the Committee on Public Order and Safety, the Honorable Romy Akop.
The Honorable Akop is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I respectfully move that the explanatory note of the bill be considered as the sponsorship speech.
We
insofar
join the
as this bill is
motion.
concerned.
We join the motion of the gentleman, Mr. Speaker.
Any objection? Hearing none. Motion is approved.
There being no interpellations, Mr. Speaker, I move that we close the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? Hearing none. Motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? The period of amendment is open.
There being no amendments from the committee or individual members, I move that we close the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? Hearing none. Motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we approve on second reading House Bill number 8628.
Those who are in favor of House Bill 8628 say aye. Those who oppose say nay. Ayes have it. House Bill 8628 is hereby approved on second reading.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we take up House Bill number 8511 in Committee Report number 917, and please direct our Secretary General to read the title of the measure.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the bill.
House Bill 8511, an act separating the city of Mandaue from the 6th Legislative District of the province of Cebu to constitute the lone legislative district of the city of Mandaue.
Majority Leader,
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of sponsorship and debate.
is there any objection? Hearing none. Motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize one of the principal authors of the measure to sponsor, the Honorable Jonas Cortes.
The Honorable Cortes is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move to adopt my explanatory note as my sponsorship speech.
We join
So
the
moved.
motion of the gentleman, Mr. Speaker.
Is there an objection? Hearing none. Motion is approved.
There being no interpellations, Mr. Speaker, I move that we close the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? Hearing none. Motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? The period of amendment is open.
Mr. Speaker, there being no amendments from the committee or from the individual members, I move that we close the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? The period of amendment is closed.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we approve on second reading House Bill number 8511.
Those who are in favor of House Bill 8511 say aye. Those who oppose say nay. Ayes have it. House Bill 8511 is hereby approved on second reading. Majority Leader,
Mr. Speaker, I move that we take up on second reading House Bill number 8553 in Committee Report number 925. Please direct our Secretary General to read the title of the measure.
the Secretary General is directed to read the title of the Bill 8553.
House Bill 8553, an act prescribing the mechanisms to facilitate the disposition of idle government-owned lands for socialized housing.
Majority Leader,
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of sponsorship and debate.
is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
To sponsor the measure, Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize one of the principal authors of the bill, the Honorable Rufi Biazon.
Mr. Speaker, in behalf of the committee, we present House Bill number 8553, and we move that we adopt the explanatory note as the sponsorship of the said measure.
We join the gentleman in his motion, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
There being no interpellations, I move that we close the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? The period of amendment is open.
There being no amendments from the committee or the individual members, I move that we close the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? The period of amendment is closed.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we approve on second reading House Bill number 8553.
Those who are in favor of House Bill 8553 say aye. Those who oppose say nay. The ayes have it. 8553 is hereby approved on second reading.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we take up unfinished business.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Parliamentary status natin. Mr. Speaker, the parliamentary status is that we are in the period of sponsorship and debate, particularly in the interpellations. I move that we open the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
To sponsor the measure, Mr. Speaker, move that we recognize the distinguished chairperson of the Committee on Ways and Means, the Honorable Ging Swan Singh.
The Honorable Swan Singh is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, we are ready to accept questions.
Mr. Speaker, there being no interpellations, I move that we close the period of sponsorship and debate.
Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker,
Objection, Mr. Speaker.
may we know what is the pleasure of the gentleman, Mr. Speaker?
I would like to interpolate.
With that, Mr. Speaker, I move that we reconsider our closure of the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there an objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Again, Mr. Speaker, to interpolate, I move that we recognize the Honorable Antonio Tinio.
The Honorable Tenyo is recognized to interpolate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, dito po sa House Bill 8645 na ini-sponsor ng kagalang-galang na Swan Singh ay nagpapanukala po ng mga pagbabago sa ilang mga buwis. Partikular, sa mga buwis sa kapital at pinansya, sa mga investment, no? So at marahil masasabi nating may pagka-technical ang panukalang ito at maaaring hindi naiintindihan ng publiko, ng mga ordinaryong mamamayan kung ano at bakit ipinanunukala ng sponsor ang mga pagbabagong ito. No, so kabilang po rito ang pagbabago sa final taxes sa individual and corporate tax, individuals and corporations having income subject to final taxes, etc. Pagbabago sa final tax on stock transaction on listed stock, pagtanggal ng IPO tax on tax transaction, etc. At marami pang iba, no? So, Ginoong Speaker, maaari po bang ipaliwanag ng sponsor sa simpleng lengguwahe? Una muna, ano ang magiging impact sa revenue ng pakete ng mga pagbabagong ipinapanukala rito?
Mr. Speaker, ito po ay revenue neutral. Wala pong kita dito ang gobyerno. Ang rason lang po ay dahil ito po ay housekeeping. Ibig po sabihin, inaayos po. Dahil po dati, dun po sa taxation on income ay nagdidepende po ang tax doon sa maturity, doon sa lending institution, doon sa type of product, at saka sa currency, residency, business status, at ganun din po sa issuer. So inaayos lang po ito.
So ang sinasabi niyo po, revenue neutral, ibig sabihin hindi mababawasan, hindi rin madadagdagan ang kita ng gobyerno sa mga panukalang pagbabago ninyo. Ganun po ba?
Tama po ito dahil dun po sa passive income, ito po yung interest, dividend, and capital gains ay sa makatwid po ay lugi pa ang gobyerno, ngunit doon naman po sa mga financial intermediaries, doon naman po babawi. So inaayos lang po. Kaya po siya revenue neutral.
Okay, kung maaari po Mr. Speaker, bigyan tayo ng numero. No? Kung magkano po yung mababawas sa kita ng gobyerno, ngunit mababawi naman sa ibang paraan katulad ng nabanggit nyo. So para may konting tungtungan tayong mga datos at numero.
Doon po sa tax on passive income, ito po yung sinasabi ko na interest income, dividends, capital gains, trading gains on debt instruments. Sa unang taon, sa 2019, negative 4 billion po ito. Sa 2020, negative 7.7 billion. Sa 2021 ay negative 11.6 billion. At saka sa 2022 ay negative 15.4. Doon naman po sa tax on financial intermediaries, ito po yung gross receipts tax, premium tax on life insurance, tax on non-life and pre-need and others. Dito naman po ay may kita na 3.6 billion sa unang taon. Sa pangalawang taon, 2020, 4.5 billion. Sa 2021 ay 5.5 billion. At saka sa 2022 ay 6.6 billion. Doon naman po sa transaction tax, ito po yung sa documentary stamps tax on financial products. Ito naman po ay mababawasan din ang kita ng gobyerno ng 3.3 billion sa unang taon. 2020 ay 4.3 billion. Sa 2021 ay 5.3 billion at saka sa 2022 ay 6.5 billion. Ngunit meron po tayong i-repeal na mga batas. Tatanggalin po natin ang exemptions. Sa unang taon, 2019, 10.3 billion. Sa 2020, 10.6 billion. At saka sa 2021, 10.8 billion. At saka sa 2022 is 11.1 billion.
Madam, Mr. Speaker, mukhang ang pinakamalaking pambawi o kita na ine-expect ng Department of Finance at ng sponsor sa panukala ay ang mababawi mula ang mababawing kita mula sa pag-repeal ng mga exemption ng revenues. Tama po ba? So sa nabanggit niyo po, sa kabuuan, aabot sa, kung di ako nagkakamali, over 40 billion po ba? Tama po ba? Yung expected na mababawing kita kapag tinanggal ang mga tax exemptions na ibinibigay ng iba't iba o samut-saring batas sa iba't ibang mga sektor. Tama po ba? Magkano po yung total nung
hindi po natin
kita na binanggit nyo? Parang 10 billion annually.
Mr. Speaker, hindi po pwedeng idagdag yun dahil yan po ay every year. So, more or less po, nasa 10 billion kada taon.
10 billion kada taon. No? Ang tinatansyang mababawi, samantalang may ibinibigay o may pabibigay na nabanggit nyo rin, kaya yung nabanggit yung mga losses ng gobyerno. Again, magkano po ang inaabot nung tinatayang lugi ng gobyerno dito?
Uulitin ko, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, please. Pagpaumanhin nyo na po.
Doon po sa tax on passive income, hindi ko na po isa-isahin kung ano yung passive income.
Yes.
Sa unang taon ay malulugi ang gobyerno ng 4 na bilyon. Sa susunod na taon ay 7.7 billion. At sa susunod na taon ay 11.6 billion. At saka sa susunod na taon ay 15.4 billion.
15.4 billion. So, may kalakihan po ang revenue loss over the next 4 years from 4 billion to 15.4 billion. Ang tanong ko po, sinong makikinabang dito? Sino yung dating binubuwisan na hindi na bubuwisan? Yung sa tinatawag yung passive income.
Hindi po natin tinatanggalan ng buwis, kundi binababa natin at tinataas naman dun sa iba yung buwis.
Okay, dun sa sino ang makikinabang sa pagbaba ng buwis sa passive income? Maging mas konkreto po tayo para mas maintindihan ng mga ordinaryong mamamayan na tulad ko. Dahil ito, napaka-technical po, syempre, ang mas nakakaunawa siguro nito yung mga may alam sa, mga stock market, mga investment, and so on. No? So, sino po ang mga halimbawa nung makikinabang sa magiging pagkalugi ng gobyerno? Dahil nga sabi nyo, up to 15 billion ang hindi na nila kukolektahin. So, yung mga passive income earners, sino po ba yan?
Yun pong mga minimum wage earners, no? Dati po ay nasa dati po sa kanilang savings deposit ay 20% po ang binabayad na buwis. Ngayon po ay 15% na lamang. Doon naman po sa time deposit, ganun din po, 20%. At dito po sa proposal ay magiging 15%.
Okay. Bakit po minimum wage earners ang nabanggit nyo? Yung mga non-minimum wage earners, higher than minimum wage earners, hindi po ba makikinabang din sila rito?
Hindi pa po ako tapos, Mr.
Okay.
Speaker. Meron din pong mga call center agents, no? Ganon din po ang pakikinabangan nila. At ganon din po doon sa matataas ang sweldo, katulad ng mga abogado at mga accounting managers, ay ganon din po. Instead of 20% ang binabayad ang tax na pinapataw sa kanila sa savings deposit, sa time deposit, ay magiging 15% na lamang.
Okay. Well, naintindihan ko po, binabanggit nyo, pinapatampok nyo sa inyong paliwanag yung maaring pakinabang ng minimum wage earners or call center agents. Pero ang realidad po sa ating lipunan, sino po ba yung mga may time deposit, kahit nga savings account? No, alam naman natin, kung minimum wage earner ang pinag-uusapan, dahil sa baba ng minimum wage kumpara sa aktual na cost of living, ay matatawag nating luxury ang pagkakaroon ng savings deposit, much less a time deposit. No? So, ang gusto ko lang po idiin dito, ang mas makikinabang talaga nito, syempre, yung mas may malaking kita. Yung mas may tinatawag nating disposable income na silang, alam naman natin, pangunahing gumagamit ng mga instrumentong ito. Yung mga time deposit, and so on. Hindi po ba, Mr. Speaker, Madam Sponsor?
Mr. Speaker, tama po yun. Dahil kung sino lang po ang may deposito sa bangko,
Yes.
yun yung makikinabang.
At lalo pa po kung pag-usapan natin yung rural population, yung mga magsasaka, ay talagang wala na sa araw-araw na buhay nila yung mga ganyang usapin. Okay, so well, yun ang isang concern ko. In other words, Mr. Speaker, na sa train, yung unang train, ay malinaw na yung malinaw na pakinabang ang naibigay sa mga fixed income earners, no? Lalo na yung mga hindi pa nga minimum wage earners, yung mga panggitna at mataas ang kita nang ibaba ng train yung personal income tax. Alam natin 'yan, no? Dahil tinaas ang tax exemption up to 250,000 pesos. So ngayon, kahit level ka ng, let's say, call center agent, 20,000 naman ang kita mo, wala ka nang binabayarang buwis. No? At may pakinabang ka habang tumataas ang kita mo. Samantala, yun ang puna sa train, binawi iyon sa pamamagitan ng pagpataw ng mga excise taxes on, as we know, fuel, sugar sweetened beverages and so on, no? So ang puna na nga, bakit regressive ang train, no? Nakinabang yung mas iilan, tapos pinatawan ng buwis yung nakararami. Ngayon, sa pamamagitan ng House Bill 8545 na ito, ay nagpapanukala na naman ng mga pagbabago sa sistema ng pagbubuwis. Ang napag-uusapan pa lang natin, yung taxes on passive income, although ito yung pinakamalaki, ang magiging loss ng gobyerno, sabi nyo, from 4 billion to up to 7.6 billion, up to 15.4 billion. No? Ang hindi nakokolektahin ng gobyerno. Sinong makikinabang dito? Ang pangunahing makikinabang, yung mga may kaya, yung mga kayang mag-savings account, kayang mag-time deposit. Yun po ang concern ko, Mr. Speaker. We have yet another instance of a tax reform or tax break na tila ang makikinabang ay yung mas may kaya. Wala naman sana tayong problema sa ganyan kung bilang pambawi ay kailangan maging progressive din ang effect, but we will go to that later, no? So bakit po ganon? What is the rationale for proposing this measure? Bakit po gusto nyong galawin itong taxes on passive income?
Uulitin ko po, Mr. Speaker, ito po ay housekeeping. Inaayos lang po natin para madali pong mag-administer. At isa pa po ay para maging fair na lahat ay pare-pareho, hindi na po iba-iba. So ang ginawa po natin dito ay pare-pareho na ang pagpataw ng taxes. Wala naman pong maapektuhan na mga nasa laylayan dahil po ay wala naman silang deposit. So, hindi sila maapektuhan. Kung ang sinasabi naman po na ito ay nalulugi ang gobyerno para po sa mga mayayaman, ay meron naman po tayong ginagawang pambawi para po hindi naman at a loss ang gobyerno.
Well, okay. So, yung mga puntahan po natin yung pagbawi. Ang sabi nyo, ay umaasa kayo ng malaki sa mababawi ng gobyerno kung aabot sa 15 billion ang magiging lugi ng gobyerno dahil ibababa nyo ang buwis sa passive income, sabi nyo from 22%, 20%, gagawing 15% na lamang, mababawi naman daw. Sabi nyo, up to 10 or 11 billion annually ang projected na mababawi nyo, particularly from the repeal of certain laws granting tax exemptions. Ano-ano po yan?
Dito naman po sa dividends, no, ganito po, para isa-isahin na po natin. Doon po sa interest income, doon po malaki ang mawawala sa gobyerno. Ngunit po dun sa dividends, ito po yung mga negosyante na na individual na tumatanggap ng dividends income. Ito po, ang bawi natin dito ay ulitin ko po, Mr. Speaker, yung tumatanggap ng dividends income.
Okay, sino-sino po yung mga tumatanggap ng dividends income? Para malinaw po sa atin, sino ang makikinabang at sino ang maaring maapektuhan negatively o madehado sa mga pagbabago sa pagbubuwis na inyong pinapanukala.
Ito po, Mr. Speaker, ito yung mga may-ari ng korporasyon na they are receiving dividends. Ito yung mga mayayaman. In other words.
Mga mayayaman po. Okay, so may pagbawi po rito. Paano po yung, sabi nyo kanina, sa pamamagitan ng pag-repeal sa ilang mga batas granting tax exemptions ay umaasa ang gobyerno na makabawi doon sa lugi, bunga ng ilang pagbabagong inyong pinapanukala. Sabi nyo, from 10 to 11 billion pesos annually ang mababawi.
Dito po, meron tayong mga batas na
Kaya bumabanggit ko lang po, sa repealing clause po, mahaba po ang repealing clause nito. From A, Section 31, from A to double E. No? O sa madaling sabi, 31 laws ang nais ipa-repeal ng panukalang batas na ito. Pwede po bang magbanggit kayo ng ilang mga tampok na maapektuhan ng repeal?
Mr. Speaker, babanggitin ko po kahit 10. Ito po yung, dahil po sila ay tax exempted, so dito po sa pag naipasa po itong panukalang ito, ay marirepeal po, matatanggal na yung exemptions. Ito po yung Development Bank of the Philippines, covered by Republic Act number 2081, Land Bank of the Philippines, covered by Republic Act 3844, Philippine Deposit Insurance Corporation, under Republic Act 3591 as amended by Republic Act 9576, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, under Republic Act 7653, Philippine Export Credit Insurance and Guarantee Corporation, under Republic Act 6424, Home Guarantee Corporation, under Republic Act 8763, National Housing Authority, under Republic Act 7279, at National Power Corporation, under Republic Act 6395.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, nabanggit niyo po ang mga ilang sektor na maapektuhan ng repeal dito. Ang mga ilang concern natin dito ay hindi po ba apektado rito ang agricultural sector? Marami pong mga repeal ay kaugnay sa halimbawa National Irrigation Administration, pag-repeal ng tax exemption on interest income, capital gains, and documentary stamp tax bonds ng National Irrigation Administration. Kasama rin ang apektado rin ang Philippine Crop Insurance Corporation. Kasama rin ang National Grains Authority. No? So in other words, ito Coconut Investment Fund. No? So hindi po ba matatamaan dito ang sektor ng agrikultura?
Mr. Speaker, Gusto ko lang pong i-explain na ito po ay kapag may savings ang agency, like for example, yung National Irrigation Administration, dinideposito po nila ito. So ngayon, yung interest income or pag nagbebenta sila ng properties dun sa capital gains, nakalagay po dun sa batas na sila po ay exempted na magbayad ng buwis. So ngayon po, tinatanggal po natin yon ang exemption, dahil like for example po yung National Irrigation Administration, libre na po yung bayad sa patubig dahil ito po ay sinasubsidize na ng gobyerno. So ito po yung kapag may deposito, itong mga binanggit ko, kasama na po dito yung mga agencies patungkol sa agrikultura. So, deposit po ito, kaya mayroong interest income.
Hindi lang po agrikultura, kasama rin po ang housing sector, no? So may mga ilang batas, no, na naisiripil dito, yung batas kaugnay sa Home Guarantee Corporation Act, Urban Development and Housing Act. So again, ang concern natin, hindi po ba maapektuhan dito ang provision of affordable or socialized housing para sa urban poor sector?
Mr. Speaker, ito po mga binanggit na national agencies, ito po ay subsidized ng gobyerno. So ang pinapatawan lang naman natin dito ng buwis ay yung sobra sa kanilang pera, kaya nila dinideposito, kaya po may interest income.
Okay, how about ito pong sa letter Z, ano pong magiging epekto ng pag-repeal ng o proposed na repeal ng tax exemption on interest income para sa mga non-stock savings and loan associations? So yung mga ibig po ba sabihin yan, yung mga nagbabangko?
Ano pong letter Z, Mr. Speaker?
That is letter Z of section 31, the repealing clause. So ang mga, ibig po ba sabihin yan, ang mga nagbabangko o nag-iimpok sa mga non-stock savings and loan associations, no? Na ngayon, exempted from interest income, from tax on interest income, ay kailangan na ngayong buwisan. Ganun po ba? Siguro yung mga maraming mga kawani ng gobyerno halimbawa, no, o mga magsasaka kaya, no, na maaring may account sa mga savings and loan associations, bubuwisan na po ngayon. Ganun po ba?
One minute suspension, Mr. Speaker.
Move to suspend, Mr. Speaker.
Parang nabago to ah.
Session suspended. Session resume.
Mr. Speaker, binanggit ko po kanina, ito pong panukala na to ay magiging fair po tayo sa pagpataw ng buwis. Basta po ang isang organisasyon ay merong sobrang pera at dinideposito po ito at meron pong interest income or di po kaya may dividends income or di kaya pag sila ay nagbenta ng properties ay may capital gains, ito po ay subject to tax.
So, kaya nga po, para malinaw lang sa inyong panukala, tatanggalin na po yung exemption sa mga nag-iimpok sa mga non-stock savings and loan associations. Ganun po ba?
Tama po yun. Basta
Tama
meron pong deposito at meron pong interest income.
Paano po itong mga, ito sa letter W ng section 31 din po, tinatanggal ang tax on interest income, capital gains, and documentary stub tax sa mga microfinance, NGOs engaged in microfinance operations for the poor. Ang intindi ko po sa pagbigay ng exemption na yan, sa batas, yung Republic Act 10693, ang intention po ay para nga matulungan ang sektor ng microfinance at both yung mga organisasyon na nagpo-provide ng microlending at yung mga kliyente mismo. Yung mga maralita na sinasabi nila kung wala po itong microlending institutions na ito ay wala pong magiging access sa pautang. Bukod dun sa mga tradisyonal na pag-uusura.
Ganun din po, Mr. Speaker. Ulitin ko po, basta meron pong deposito at nag-earn po ng interest income, kasama po sila doon sa papatawan ng tax. Kaya po, tinatanggal natin yung exemptions nila.
Well, Mr. Speaker, yan na nga yung concern natin, no, na sa isang banda, nagpapanukala po ang sponsor na ibaba ang interest o ang buwis sa, sabi natin, passive income. Kanina, yan yung pinakamalaking mawawala sa gobyerno ay bunga nung pagbaba nung buwis sa passive interest. At na-establish natin kanina na ang pangunahing makikinabang dito to the tune of something like from 4 to 15.4 billion ay yung mas may kaya. No, yung mga nakakapag-time deposit sa mga yung mga commercial or yung mga established na mga bangko. So, sila ay makikinabang dahil mas mababa na ang ibubuwis ng gobyerno sa kanila. Sa kabilang banda naman, para daw pambawi, ang gusto mangyari, yung mga dating in-exempt na mga financial organizations, katulad ng mga non-stock, non-profit savings and loan associations, pati yung mga microfinance organization, sila naman at tax exempt dahil nakita ng Kongreso na nagpasa ng mga batas kaugnay sa mga organisasyong ito na kailangan nila ng ganong klaseng tulong. Ngayon, ang gusto gawin ay buwisan ng mga ito. No, so hindi po ba again, parang regressive ang tunguhin ng panukalang ito, Mr. Speaker. No, na bibigyan ng kaluwagan yung mga may kaya at babawiin naman o babawi naman ng gobyerno doon sa mga maliliit na mga o mas maralitang mamamayan, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, hindi po ako sumasang-ayon sa sinasabi na yung mga mayayaman ay binabaan yung tax. Ang sinasabi lang natin dito ay dahil nga po dun sa ang mga mayayaman na magkakaroon ng dividends income ay papatawan natin ng buwis. Ang sinasabi lang natin dito ay pantay-pantay lahat. Dahil kapag may interest income, tinatawag pong kita, yun po ang pinapatawan natin ng buwis.
Well, Mr. Speaker, it has been the wisdom of this Congress which passed some of the laws that are now proposed to be repealed. It was the wisdom of Congress in the past to grant exemptions to certain financial institutions, particularly those catering to the poor, as a form of support to the poor, no? To give financial services, to provide access to financial services for the poor. Kaya po nagbigay ng mga exemption sa mga ito. No? Kaya hindi po tayo sumasang-ayon na sa ngalan ng housekeeping daw o pagpapasimple raw ng sistema ng pagbubuwis ay isasantabi na o ibabasura yung preferential option, no, na binigay sa mga partikular na institusyong ito. No? And again, ang concern po natin ay tulad ng train, yung naunang batas, no, na may malinaw na pakinabang in terms of lower income tax ang mga mamamayan, mga kababayan nating panggitna hanggang nakatataas ang antas pang ekonomiya. Pero binawi naman, no, yung sa nawalang revenue ng gobyerno, binawi ito sa pamamagitan ng mga excise taxes na binabayaran ng lahat. No, yan na nga, yung mga excise taxes sa gasolina, diesel, soft drinks, etc., etc. So kaya sinabi natin, ang problema sa train, regressive. No? Unfortunately, nakikita natin meron ding mga ganong meron ding ganong padron na nakikita tayo sa panukalang ito, no? Kaya meron po tayong mga tinututulan at nirerehistrong pagtutol sa mga ito. Would the sponsor be willing to retain the exemptions on some of the institutions or entities that I mentioned, Mr. Speaker? In the same way na yung train, pagkatapos din ng matinding lobbying, halimbawa ng sektor ng mga kooperatiba, ay tinanggal yung panukalang yung provision sa Train 1 na tanggalin yung exemption, yung tax exemption sa mga co-op. So would the sponsor be willing to, again, reconsider the repeal of these exemptions, Mr. Speaker?
Pwede po bang banggitin ng kagalang-galang na congressman kung ano ang...
Yes. Halimbawa, yung nabanggit ko po sa Section 31, letter W, letter Z, letter W, microfinance operations, letter Z, covering non-stock savings and loan associations. Siguro pwede rin po natin banggitin dito yung letter BB, thrift banks. Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, hindi po natin hinahadlangan ang pagpapahiram ng loans, no, sa mga mahihirap katulad ng nakasaad sa Section W at ganun din po doon sa
Z.
Yun pong sa thrift banks po, kumikita po itong institusyon na ito. Ang punto lang po namin na hindi po mahahadlangan, hindi po mapiprevent yung pagpahiram sa gustong humiram. Ang punto lang po dito ay dahil kumikita ang institusyon, ay dapat nga naman magbayad ng buwis kasi nakikinabang naman sila dun sa interest income or di kaya capital gains.
So, madaling sabi, hindi po amenable ang ating sponsor sa mga pagbabago.
It is with much regret, Mr.
Okay.
Speaker.
Sige po. With that, Mr. Speaker, I end my interpellation. Thank you.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, there being no... Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Atienza earlier signified his intention to interpellate, but as he is not here in the session hall right now, we will move to the next interpellator in line. I move that we recognize the Honorable Tom Villarin for his interpellation.
Honorable Villarin is recognized.
With the
to
reservation,
interpellate.
Mr. Speaker, that the Honorable Lito Atienza will interpellate as well.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Majority Leader. Will the good sponsor be open to some questions?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Well, the proposed measure is hereby known as the Passive Income and Financial Intermediary Taxation Tax. Is it correct, Madam Speaker?
That's correct, Mr. Speaker.
Well, so there are two subject matters here: the passive income and financial intermediation to be taxed, or wherein, as you earlier said, there's a difference between passive income and financial intermediary taxation. Is it correct?
That's correct, Mr. Speaker.
So, if we look at this bill, while it is a revenue measure, or what you termed earlier as revenue neutral measures, or these are two different subject matters.
That's correct, Mr. Speaker.
So, I'd just like to ask a question whether in just one bill, even if it's a revenue measure, you can combine two distinct and separate subject matters.
Which one subject matter? Okay. Mr. Speaker, it's just in the title, but if you notice, Mr. Speaker, it's an act amending the NIRC, Mr. Speaker.
So it's an act amending the NIRC, and the purpose of amending is the sections, no, relating to two different subject matters. It could be 3, 4, or 5, no, but the proposal just wanted to focus on what you call the revenue neutral provisions of the NIRC. Is that correct?
It's an amendment to the NIRC, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. Now, as to the issue of passive income, well, there's active income, passive income. What's the difference between these two, Madam Speaker?
The passive income includes the interest income, the dividends income, the capital gains, and the anything that concerns about trading gains on debt in instruments.
Well, it's the financial intermediation taxation. I think that is the good sponsor referring.
When you say active income, this pertains to income where, like for example, you are into business, so that's about active income. When you say it's passive, you have extra money, you put it in the bank, and it earns interest, then that's passive income, Mr. Chair.
So this kind of incomes, when you say passive income, this is income derived without the participation of the beneficiary. Is that correct?
Without any effort. Like, for example,
Without any effort, without the direct participation of the beneficiary.
Yes, that's correct, Mr. Chair,
Okay.
where, like, for example, if you have dividend income, you invest and then you do nothing and then you receive dividends.
But is that part of the, well, on the side of the banks or those who intermediate about this financial transaction, that would fall as financial intermediation income, I suppose.
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
Now, because it's still an ongoing or evolving discussions about what's really passive income and active income. Like when you say, okay, you have an apartment, no? Of course, you get to rental from the use of your apartment. Would that fall as passive income?
If that's your business, Mr. Chair, in any given time, that's active.
Well, I have, like for me, I have an excess unit, no? And I just want to rent it out. No? It's not really my line of business. So would that fall as passive income?
Mr. Chair, ito pong panukalang ito ay hindi po kasama yung properties. Ito po ay all monetary.
So only monetary?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
That which passes through the financial markets?
That's correct.
So active income that goes through the financial market or capital markets are considered only in this bill.
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
So like, baka kasi matax din natin yung nagpapa-Airbnb, no? So those who are you aware of the B&B bed and breakfast schemes? Good
Yes, Mr.
sponsor,
Speaker.
So yung nagpapa-rent, okay, ng kanilang bahay or a portion of their bahay for Airbnb is not included in this proposed measure.
It's not, Mr. Chair.
And there are no plans by the DOF to tax Airbnb.
Mr. Chair, it is included in, I'm not so sure, Mr. Chair, if it's in package 1 or package 2. If it's individual, it is included in the package 1. If it's a corporation, then it's included in package 2.
So it's included because like as I earlier mentioned, I have a property or a house, no? And surely kung wala na yung mga anak ko lumaki na, so I use this for Airbnb. So this scheme will also be included because you earlier mentioned that all the passive income to be taxed ay dun lang sa dumadaan sa financial markets or capital markets. But the good sponsor is now saying that the Airbnb scheme will now be taxed, no?
If that's a personal income, then may I know, Mr. Speaker, what kind of income is that? Is that an income of the corporation or income of individual? If it's individual income, then it's in package 1. Tapos, we lowered the rates, Mr. Speaker, for the individual income tax. And if it's in the corporation, yun pong negosyo, we included that in the package 2 and then we lowered the corporate income tax, Mr. Chair.
Well, most of the Airbnb users or providers, Mr. Speaker, good sponsor, are mga individuals, no? So definitely, the package 1 will also affect them, no? Now, as to the benefits, no? Kasi there's also in package 1, like the health benefits, no, of workers, no? So if I have health benefits accruing from my use of HMOs and others, pag lumampas ng 90,000 daw po, ay tinatax. Is that true?
Mr. Speaker, this is not the first time that I heard about that issue. It's a BIR ruling and it's not included in the tax reform. Na kahit po yung, for example, one company provides health benefits, ang ginagawa po ng BIR ay sinasama siya doon bilang income ng individual. Is that what you're saying, Honorable Congressman?
Well, supposedly in package 1, those earning, di ba, 250,000 and below ay zero yung withholding tax or don't pay withholding tax or income tax for that matter. Now, in this BIR ruling, ang sinasabi nila na pag yung health benefits mo, like coverage in health insurance packages, exceeds the 90,000, itatax na nila. No? And we all know that every wage earner worker, no, sa panahon ngayon, yung pag nagkakasakit, no, eh, lalong-lalo na, cancer and all these debilitating diseases. So, maraming kumukuha ng insurance, no? Pero, ang nangyari, pag lampas 90,000 yung coverage, natatax pa sila. So, ibig sabihin, nagiging doble yung burden. And it's because also of the tax package number 1.
Mr. Speaker, that is not included in the tax reform package number 1, but we will call the attention of BIR on that particular ruling, Mr.
So, that's
Speaker.
just my appeal, good sponsor, no? Because this BIR ruling, no, should, hindi dapat ito nakaka-burden pa sa ating mga kababayan. No?
I agree with Congressman, Mr. Speaker, and we assure him that we will call the attention of BIR, Mr. Speaker.
On the issue of financial intermediation, I just have some questions, but good sponsor, I mean, these issues, I think, would refer to other profits or incomes, no? Especially on windfall taxes. No? I don't know if in the Financial Intermediation Act, no? I don't know from Yusek Chua, kinonsider ba nila yung windfall profits from businesses that benefit from major public infrastructure. No? It's the classic case of like real property development along the MRT, LRT, and even airports not to be established. So is it included in the financial intermediation? Or is there another separate tax package for this?
Okay. Mr. Speaker, we have passed in the lower house package 3, which concerns about property evaluation. I would appreciate if we can find a way na habulin sa Senate because that is not included in the package 3.
Well, thank you for that frank exchange, Madam, Mr. Speaker, good sponsor. siguro in future endeavors, no, with regards to progressive taxation, and because this representation likewise really believes, no, that we should have a progressive system of taxation, no, and we should not burden anymore our taxpayers, no, and concentrate more on those who earn windfall profits, no, from business, and that includes having business with government. And with that, Mr. Speaker, good sponsor, I would end my interpellation, and thank you.
Thank you to the good gentleman.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, there being no other interpellations, I move that we close the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the sponsors and debate is closed.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? The period of amendment is open.
There being no amendments from the committee or the individual members of the House, I move that we close the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? The period of amendment is closed.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we approve on second reading House Bill number 8645.
Or those who are in favor of House Bill 8645, say aye.
Aye.
Those who oppose, say nay. Ayes have it. House Bill 8645 is hereby approved on second reading. Congratulations. Majority Leader.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we resume our consideration of House Bill of Resolution of both Houses, number 15. And for this, please direct Secretary General to read the title of the measure.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the bill.
Resolution of both Houses. RBH 15, Resolution of both Houses proposing the revision of the 1987 Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the parliamentary status is that we are in the period of sponsorship and debate. More particularly, we are in the interpellation. I move that we recognize, first recognize the sponsor of this measure, the Honorable Wilter Palma.
The Honorable Palma is recognized to sponsor the measure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Majority Leader.
Next to interpellate, Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the gentleman from Akbayan, the Honorable Tom Villarin.
The Honorable Villarin is recognized to interpellate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Majority Leader, and would the good sponsor be open to some questions?
It will be my honor here.
Well, for starters, Mr. Speaker, good sponsor, may I know what's the status of resolution of both houses of 008 and House Concurrent Resolution 09? So these resolutions also is about proposing for charter change.
Can we have the number again, Your Honor?
RB 8008 and Concurrent Resolution 009.
Your Honor, Mr. Speaker, it is pending now in the House of Senate.
So it was forwarded to the Senate.
It was transmitted to Senate.
And does the Senate have counterpart measures to RBH 008 and
I'm not sure, Your
concurrent?
Honor. I'm not aware of any, but I can have the Secretariat check into that.
So it has
Your
been
Honor.
forwarded and not taken back by the House. So meaning it's still a pending measure duly passed.
Yes, Your Honor. It's pending now.
Okay. Now, we have now RBH 15 also proposing for constitutional changes. So if we pass, or if the House passes this measure, what would be the effect of this measure to RBH 008.
It will be different, Your Honor, because what we have in front of us is the RBH 15, which is a totally different House resolution or
So it would render RBH 08 moot.
not necessary, Your Honor. It depends on the rules of the House of Senate, but since these are two different distinct bills or distinct resolutions, then I'm not aware of the rules of the
So,
Senate.
being a resolution of both houses, does this resolution have a counterpart in the Senate at the moment? Resolution RBH 15. Does it have a Senate counterpart, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor?
None, Your Honor, not yet, because it's being deliberated now in the House of Representatives.
So, as a resolution of both houses, there's no counterpart at the moment?
At the moment,
in the
no, Your
Senate?
Honor, because we are deliberating it here in the House of Representatives.
Now, as to the timetable that we have for congressional sessions, I think we end our session by February 8. Is that correct, Your Honor?
I'm not sure, Your Honor, if it's February 8, but somewhere in that vicinity. February 14, if I'm not mistaken. The House will adjourn on February 14, if I'm not mistaken.
February 14. So, adjourn. So that's after the Christmas break.
After the
That's
Christmas break.
almost a month or
A
4
month
weeks.
off. Yes, Your
left.
Honor.
No. I'm just raising the issue because, of course, the issue of the timetable for this proposed RBH, and it definitely has to be tackled in the Senate if it's a resolution of both houses.
Yes, Your Honor.
So that's only the time span that we have with regards to this resolution. Now, going to the draft. In terms of course, we have several drafts before of proposed charter change. You have the Constitutional Committee created by no less than President Duterte that had a draft. We had RBH 008, which also have a draft constitution. And now we have RBH 15, also having a draft constitution. Now, with these three drafts now officially being made public, what's the major difference between the RBH 18 as to the two other drafts?
RBH 15 and
RBH 8.
RBH 8 and RBH 15.
RBH 15, and of course the draft of the Constitutional Committee, the 22-member Constitutional Committee, I think.
Your Honor, RBH 08 was authored by a different colleague, and it was subsumed by Committee Report
09.
Concurrent,
the current
yes,
resolution
concurrent
is,
Committee Report 09, which is now pending in the Senate. RBH 15 is authored by different authors as well. And as to the difference, Mr. Speaker, may I ask for a minute suspension just to confer with the Secretariat as to the difference. I may answer the Honorable Villarin correctly. May I ask for a minute suspension?
Session suspended. Session resumed.
Mr. Speaker, to answer the query of the Honorable Villarin, House Concurrent Resolution 09, which contained Committee Report 110, is a concurrent resolution to constitute Congress of the Philippines as a constituent assembly. This this concurrent resolution contains only the mode as to how the Constitution of the Philippines will be amended. As contrast to the RBH 15, the RBH 15 directly proposes the amendment to the provisions of the 1987 Constitution.
So RBH 8 and concurrent resolution 9 is a proposal constituting both houses of Congress into a constituent assembly.
That is correct, Your Honor.
While RBH 15
Is a direct proposal.
is a direct proposal, meaning a direct proposal to amend.
Yes, direct
wholly
proposal
or-
made by the
or
House of
to-
Representatives, as we are discussing now,
Yes.
to the provisions of the 1987 Constitution.
So, when you say you want to amend or to totally revise the 1987 Constitution, is this to be done through ordinary legislation, like both houses passing this proposed draft Constitution?
Your Honor, to answer that question, the reason why we are discussing now RBH 15 is that, first and foremost, the Constitution, 1987 Constitution provides only that an amendment to or revision of the Constitution may only be done firstly by a Constitutional Assembly by a vote of 3/4 vote of all the members. However, it does not provide for the initial or how it will be proposed. Now, fortunately, we have in our rules, the House of Representatives, we have our rules found in Section 142 of the Rule 20 that provides that the House, that the adoption of resolution proposing amendments to or revision of the Constitution shall follow the procedure of enactment of a bill. So that is why we are doing it now, Your Honor, because our rules provide that all of the procedure as we followed in submitting a bill is also the procedure in adopting a resolution proposing amendments to or revision of the Constitution.
So this is a bill proposing amendments, revisions.
No, Your Honor,
to-
it is a resolution, but the procedure that we are following is that of a bill.
So
Enactment of a bill.
yes, it's a resolution. Of course, it will go through the process of adoption, first reading, second reading,
Yes,
and third
reading, so on, Your Honor.
And Senate will also do the same.
Yes, Your Honor.
And if both houses adopts,
Adapt.
then it will go through a
Ratification,
ratification through a plebiscite.
which now follows the 3/4 votes required by the Constitution. That is the standing of this representation, Your Honor.
So, in a way that is very much different from RBH 8 and concurrent resolution 9.
That is correct, Your
Because
Honor.
it's a constituent assembly.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, as to the form, it says here that because, of course, there might be legal issues that it might be challenged why not a constituent assembly adopting this RBH or not through constitutional convention. Of course, that's already water under the bridge because it's the House and the Senate that's discussing this
Yes, Your Honor, because we
amendments.
believe, and this is the point of, this is the view of the House, that matters like this, questions like this as to the mode of proposing amendments to the Constitution is better left to the wisdom of Congress itself, because this is a political question, nature of a political question, which the Supreme Court or any of the courts
Yes,
do not have
I do
jurisdiction.
understand. We have the plenary powers,
Yes.
but again, our constitution is specific as to the mode.
Yes, Your
So I will just leave it at that, no? Because I think if it will trigger a constitutional challenge, no, of course, the Supreme Court might affirm the House, no, and
Yes, Your Honor.
there's
That
no
is correct.
more hurdle for cha-cha to happen, no.
That is correct, Your Honor.
So it's like
It's speculative in nature,
it's-
Your Honor.
Yeah, speculative, but of course we could hypothesize or even speculate on things, no, like amending the Constitution, yeah, that it might happen, no? Kumbaga, because we don't know the Supreme Court, no? Right now it's appointees, most of them appointees by the President. But anyway, let me go to the substance, no? It says here that RBH 15 proposes for a federal form of government. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
But here, in the specific provision, it says here that it may, let me read the pertinent provision. Mr. Speaker, Your Honor. So the wording here is not mandatory, no?
That is
but
correct, Your Honor.
merely
May.
directory. And any federal state form will be subject to an organic law to be passed by Congress.
That is correct, Your Honor.
So in the proposed RBH 15, what will happen now to if the Bangsamoro law will be ratified in January of 2019, and if we adopt later, no, this constitution, would it mean the abolition of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao?
Mr. Speaker, I thank the Honorable Villarin for pointing out this matter, and this is also my personal point of view. Insofar as the proposed federal constitution does not provide for a provision which recognizes the Bangsamoro Autonomous or the Bangsamoro Organic Law. And this representation, Your Honor, do believes that in due time, perhaps we could introduce an amendments thereto, which will now include the Bangsamoro Organic Law. This representation, Your Honor, was given the privilege as well to defend the Bangsamoro Organic Law, and during those period of interpellations, during those times that we have a bicameral conference committees, we were of the view that should there come a charter change, then perhaps we should just include in the provisions of the proposed federal constitution perhaps a provision which now recognizes the legitimacy of the Bangsamoro Organic Law. And I do believe that in due time, perhaps the committee or an individual myself would propose for an amendment to the proposed federal constitution so as to recognize the Bangsamoro Organic Law.
Well,
and I thank the Honorable Villarin for pointing it out.
Well, thank you for recognizing that infirmity in this resolution. No? And I hope we could have more time to really insert, the wordings that would
Actually,
address
Mr. Speaker, we already
question.
have our proposed provision,
Yeah.
which we will, in due time, give out to the floor for the proper amendments.
Now, as to the issue of, because it's Congress that will pass an organic act creating
The federal state.
states. No? And in this draft, there are no meets and bounds, no, how a federal state will be formed. So assuming if I'm coming from Dinagat province, island, so I would just pass a bill or pass an organic law, and I would say, I would like my province to be a federal state, no, a regional state. Would that happen?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor. That is correct. The proposed federal constitution does not provide for a specific geographic area as to what a state is composed of or how it should be divided. Only that the general provision on the federal states provides that the local government units may. This is impermissive because to allow the local government units in the present more time for them to prepare and adapt perhaps before the transition into a federal state. And as to how it will be created, the group of LGUs, the local government units, may compose themselves and propose to Congress that they want to file a petition that they want to constitute themselves as a state, and together with it, submit their proposal for the organic
That's
act.
precisely the problem, Your Honor, Mr. Speaker. leaving the criteria and defining the meets and bounds to particular LGUs. It might happen that there will be no uniformity in terms of the criteria that will establish, because again, if it will pass through Congress, of course, there's the issue of population, territory, income. No? These are givens, no? Because of our decentralization law. But having another structure, no, on top of our decentralized local governments, and the creation of this new structure would also entail, no, that somehow what would be the criteria, because again this would be left to the discretion of Congress and not specifically mandated under the Constitution. So the problem here, it might arise, no, that we could have states or areas, no, that would opt for a federal system of government, but because it was Congress that mandated its creation, and Congress can also abolish that state to be created. Would that be correct?
Your Honor,
Mr. Speaker?
Your Honor, Mr. Speaker, as to the standards on how a state is created, Congress will actually set the standards or the parameters in which the local government units may use as their basis for the creation of the federal states, or when they group themselves in order for them to become a federal states. So the Congress will issue, or will perhaps will set a set of standards and parameters before the group of local government units can submit their petition for the creation of a federal state. And in the let me bring your attention, Your Honor, to Article 2 of the proposed federal constitution. In the principles, it states that the state shall recognize regional autonomy towards federalism within the framework of national unity and the Constitution. So what it means, Your Honor, is that the state now is, the whole Republic of the Philippines recognizes now the regional autonomy as well of each federal states. And this is in fact in preparation towards the federalism, and that is why it was opted to that the creation of each federal state is permissive in nature, so as to give more time for the local government units to upgrade themselves, to better prepare themselves for the transition into a federal state.
Yes, but again, as I've mentioned earlier, good sponsor, Mr. Speaker, it is the power of Congress that can create or even abolish this state when it is established. No? It can set a national criteria, but because it's only through an organic law to be passed by Congress that a state will be created, or it also assumes that its abolition can also be done by Congress.
Your Honor, as to the possible abolition of organic laws of the state, it cannot be done because the principles of the federal constitution itself, as what I have read a while ago, is pushing for the federalism. And the law passed by the Congress creating the federal state is it is actually an organic law of the state.
Yes,
So to
precisely.
speak, that is the constitution of that state itself.
Yes, precisely because even under our existing 1987 Constitution, it's mandated that an autonomous region shall be established in Muslim Mindanao and the Cordillera, and the establishment of such is done through an organic law.
Yes,
but
that's
that
correct.
organic law can be amended or revised, no, by Congress because of its plenary powers. And as what you cited, regional autonomy being
Towards federalism, Your Honor.
towards you start with regional autonomy, but if the parameters, the meets and bounds of federalism would still be established in the future, no, we cannot at this point in time say that this is a constitution that is federal in substance and nature.
Your Honor, as to, let me just differentiate this from the Cordillera Autonomous Region as well as the Bangsamoro or the Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao. Our constitution, the 1987 constitution, provides under the autonomous region, the creation of only two autonomous regions. That is precisely the reason why also that we are pushing for the federalism, because under the 1987 constitution, local government units cannot exercise local autonomy because the 1987 constitution only limits the local autonomy to two particular region, and that is the Cordilleras and the autonomous regions of Muslim Mindanao. Now, as to differentiate that from the federal form of government, the constitution or the proposed federal constitution provides for the regional autonomy towards federalism as a principle.
So it's towards federalism, so not
Yes.
yet federal.
That is
in
correct,
nature.
Your Honor, because as we speak, we have no proposed areas as to how the state is created. Wala pa po tayong, hindi pa po natin nararating po yung punto na yan na meron tayong proposed state. Sa ngayon po, meron lang tayong mechanism. And this is what we are trying to impress upon our colleagues here, that we have, the proposed federal constitution provides for a mechanism for the transition to a federal form of government.
So basically, it is completely opposite, no, to the draft made by the Constitutional Commission and also what was stipulated in concurrent resolution number 9 and
Yeah.
because in these two proposals, it's clearly mandated and delineated what will comprise. No? Because when you say federalism, you have independent states, okay, or regions or areas coming together. No? Or at the very start, you have identified regional states, and in this identification, you already establish what are the powers, the exclusive powers, the concurrent powers of both the national or federal state and the regional or state level governments. No? But here, as you've mentioned, it is transitioning towards federalism, but federalism as a form of government and structure is not yet established, no, based on this draft.
I thank the Honorable Villarin for the observation. That is correct. As to the Puno Commission and as to the proposed federal constitution that we are discussing now, they are totally different. For one, that is correct. Under the Puno Commission, there were 17 proposed states. As differentiated from what we are discussing now, it only provides for a mechanism in order to allow as I explained a while ago, that the LGUs will be given the opportunity to prepare themselves. Now, another difference is in the Puno Commission, the one that was submitted before prepared by the Constitutional Commission, is that the states, the 17 states, para pong sinasabi natin, take it or leave it. Parang ganun po. Ibig sabihin, itong area na to, o isang state kayo, itong area na to, isang state kayo. The only problem with that and the only danger about that, Your Honor, is that there could be LGUs lumped together in one state and yet they belong to top 20 of the poorest of this country. That is what we are trying to avoid, Your Honor, because can you imagine isang top 20 magkakatabing probinsya, ginawa mong isang estado? That will be unfair and that will be parang mali po talaga pag ginawa natin yon.
So again, as I've stated, okay, at this point in time, it's not federal because it's still transitioning to federalism.
Yes, Your Honor. We are providing a mechanism.
Yes, a mechanism. And now, of course, I'm also curious why this change of heart with regards to how federalism should be set up. Is it because people in the communities doesn't like federalism?
I cannot speculate on that, Your Honor, but the reason for this, not really a change of heart, but perhaps the approach may be different as from the previous bills that were submitted before the House of Representatives. The reason perhaps is that we deem this, the RBH 15, we deem this to be a better version. So as again, I would like to reiterate that to give the essence of democracy and allow the people to identify themselves as to who will they associate with, as opposed to the previous concurrent resolutions, which only proposes a mode of amending the Constitution. And also, Your Honor, reports of the NEDA stated that the federalism could cost the national government an additional 243 million annually. Ang problema lang po natin, pag pinilit nga po natin, like sinabi ko kanina, pag pinilit po natin na pagsamasamahin ang isang estado, na ang laman naman po ng isang estado na yan ay nandun po ang mga mahihirap na probinsya natin, kawawa naman po sila at the end of the day. And the Constitutional Commission also provided for revenue sharing between the central and the federal state, which is, for this representation, Your Honor, is very costly because there is now a sharing of revenue.
So federalism is costly?
No, Your Honor, I'm talking about the previous...
In the proposed Puno Commission draft, no, you're saying?
Yeah, that is my personal interpretation, Your Honor, because the proposed Puno Commission, nilagay po nila yung estado mismo. They delineated, they defined exactly what the states are. Now, the only problem that we see there in the draft that they have submitted is that it will be costly because there is sharing of revenue. And di ba po ang reason po natin na mag-federal tayo is so that we will retain, or the state will retain its revenues, if not all, most of its revenues, in order for the development of the state. But in the different or the other draft, parang ganun lang po ang nangyari sa atin. There is no changes because there are sharing of revenues between the central government and the federal state.
Well, thank you for those observations, Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker. Well, I also do believe that at this point in time, when you really, kung ipipilit, talagang hindi naman talagang kaya. So, di ba? So, now, as to the proposed draft again, we're saying here that in one of the preambles, in the whereas clauses, on page 2, it states here that many provisions of the 1987 Constitution have already served, if not outlived, their purpose. Hence, the sustained clamor over the years, basically. So, when you say many provisions of the Constitution have outlived its purpose, can we cite specific provisions in the 1987 Constitution that has outlived its purpose, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor?
Mr. Speaker, the reason why the provision, one of the whereas clauses here is that the 1987 Constitution, some of its provisions have already served and outlived its purpose, is that there is constant evolution of our system of government, and there is constant evolution of our way of life. Some of the provisions, perhaps, well, if you count the Constitution, that's already 31 years of age. Some of the provisions no longer apply because it does not adapt now the evolving, for one example, the evolving technology. And then for 31 years, not a single amendment was made on the Constitution. the inequalities of our countryside as opposed to those in the cities and in Metro Manila, there is a study that says it's getting wider and wider. And that is the reason why, because of the limitations provided for under the 1987 Constitution, for an example, Your Honor, I would like to cite one of the example is the autonomous regions of Cordilleras and the autonomous regions of Muslim Mindanao. Nalilimit lang po yung dalawang konsepto ng autonomous region sa dalawang area. Ang pinupush po natin dito is yung we are going into a federal form of government so that we will retain most if not all of the revenues derived from our state. We cannot do that under the 1987 Constitution because of its limitation. Another, Your Honor, is that if you look at the Constitution, the 1987 Constitution, it provides for a negative list as to the powers of the state to tax, as to the power of the state to, even including the powers that will be delegated before the local government unit. These are in the negative list. I'll cite one example, Your Honor. In the proposed federal constitution, we have specifically mentioned the enumeration as to the powers of the federal state. That is found under section 16 of Article 12 of the proposed federal constitution. It says here administrative organization, planning, budget, and management, creation of sources of revenue and finances, agriculture and fisheries, natural resources, energy, environment, indigenous appropriate technologies and inventions. So these are some of the things that I find, Your Honor, that this representation finds at least trying to adapt into the present condition of the Republic. Ito pong mga na-outlive natin, meron pong mga, especially during the budget, yung mga budgetary requirements po natin, nagkakaroon po tayo ng paulit-ulit na lang po. Yourself, Your Honor, is very well aware of the yung mga budgetary requirements natin. Paulit-ulit po tayo without giving us any of the leeway to improve the programs. And then, siguro po, Your Honor, I will try to explain it in a little while, siguro, Your Honor, as to the exact provisions on why we have outlived. But kindly give me a few seconds just to confirm with the staff. Siguro, I'll provide you some of the provisions, Your Honor.
Yeah, but can I go to the
Yes, Your
general
Honor, you may.
provisions? No? Because like, well, again, comparing it to the other drafts, no, for charter change, there are proposals in the way of redefining our form of government.
That is correct.
There was a proposal to have a federal parliamentary system. And now in this proposal, we retained the presidential bicameral system of government. So between the two, the earlier proposal and this proposal, if you say that we have outlived, so this will not apply to our system of presidential form of government.
Your Honor, it is still the presidential form of government. One of the difference between the 1987 Constitution and the RBH 15 is that in terms of voting, in terms of parties, the number of parties allowed in the proposed federal constitution, magkaiba po talaga. Ang vote ng presidente ay yun din po ang vote ng vice president sa panukalang ito. Ang partido po natin magiging dalawa na lang po. We will have two-party system and no longer a multi-party system. So, nandun pa rin yung essence, presidential, pero magkaiba lang po ang structure.
Presidential bicameral Republican form of government is still, in a way, effective or has not outlived its purpose. No? And
The
what
form,
you're
yes,
proposing, because in a way, it's not parliamentary, no, system. No?
Yes, Your Honor.
As well, in many countries, no, there are most of the countries already have adopted a parliamentary system. Now, what is being proposed here is the U.S. model, I suppose, no, of a bicameral legislature. You have 300 members from the lower house, the bigger house, and the stronger house, I suppose. And you have the Senate, which is composed of how many senators are there? 60?
I'm not sure, Your Honor. Roughly around 60.
Yes. So under this proposal, no, 24 senators to be still elected at large. So there's
As
no,
of this proposal,
this
Your Honor,
proposal.
300 all in all in the House of Representatives.
And in the Senate is still
And
24.
the Senate will be 24.
Still elected at large.
Elected at large.
What is being proposed here is we need to have a two-party system,
That's
patterned after the U.S. As what was being discussed prior, you said that in the U.S. there's a strong two-party system. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Well, if we look at what's happening in the U.S., it's, well, they say that has been a gridlock between
The Republicans and the
Democrats. You
Democrats.
already identify who are the red states and the blue states. And this gridlock has resulted to such. Do you think that this will also happen in the Philippines?
I
If we
cannot
adopt,
definitely
if we
say-
adopt a two-party system?
Your Honor, Mr. Speaker, I cannot definitely say that it will not happen. It could, and it's happening right now, as you pointed out, in the United States of America. The only thing that we are trying to impress upon our colleagues, Your Honor, is that the two-party system will greatly improve our system of government. I'll try to explain it this way, Your Honor. Ang present condition natin is multi-party tayo. Meaning, meron tayong kanya-kanyang mga paniniwala, policies, political inclinations, and so on and so forth. Sa Amerika po kasi, it's either the Democrat or the Republicans. You are not actually voting for the person itself, the running in the position, but rather kung ano man yung dinadala po ng kanilang partido. Because they believe that the continuity of program is there. Only that the personalities will be different in every election. Mawawala po sa atin sa Pilipinas, pag ito'y na-adapt natin, mawawala po yung ano bang tawag natin dyan? Yung patronage ng isang tao, isang pamilya. Yun din po ang kasagutan, kaya sinasabi natin na we are no longer voting for the person. We are now voting for kung ano man yung dinadala niya ng mga programa.
Yes, that's the supposedly in theory
In
that
theory.
should happen. But in reality, in real politics, even in the U.S., where there are no term limits for sitting members of the House and the Senate, and it's the same senators, whether Republican or Democrats, sitting in the respective constituency. So meaning, even in the U.S., this two-party system has stifled political participation. And what's happening is that there are people that have been marginalized, while most of them went with the Democratic Party. But again, because of this two-party system, wherein you cannot go out of that system, you are now forced to deal with either Republican or Democrat. But again, even within the Democrats, they have constituencies that do not support some
That is
policies.
correct.
There are Democrats who are also Republicans, and there are Republicans who share the views of the
That is
Democrats.
correct, Your Honor.
So now, prior to the 1987 Constitution, we also had a two-party system. We had the Nacionalista and the Liberal, and a Nacionalista can run as a Liberal party if he will not be drafted by and it happened. If there are competition, as long as, so in effect, what you're saying is it will again stifle democracy, stifle. So I do think that this is more than just putting in a two-party system. While I do believe that a multi-party system can exist in a parliamentary system, and I think the parliamentary system is still the best form of governance or of governmental structures, wherein representation is again bi-party and multi-party. You form coalitions to form a government, or if there's a gridlock, again, you negotiate terms with other political parties. So in a way, there's power sharing. No one is left out in a multi-party system. But again, the problem with having a multi-party system in a bicameral legislature, of course, this is now being provided for supposedly in the party list, no? But even now in the proposed draft, the party list system also dispenses with political parties because precisely you want a two-party system. And what will happen, Mr. Speaker, good sponsor, is that these two dominant parties will just fill their sectoral organizations to be in the party list system of election. So again, because of this two-party system, representation, even in the 20% seats allocated to party list, will be dominated by these two parties because they will just fill their own sectoral parties. And in reality, that's happening now, Mr. Speaker, good sponsor. So if we are talking about institutional reforms, political reforms, this two-party system, I think, will again be leading us to a situation wherein you will not, enhance democracy, but will stifle democracy. So these are the concerns raised about the two-party system. And while you said that voting will be done through party, but in a system, like as you mentioned in the US, where supposedly both parties go through primaries, the process of the primaries would be costly, and only those who have the money, the resources, can mobilize and win in primaries, whether you're with the other parties or both parties. Now, as to the president, because in this setup we still retain, the president and the vice president would come from both parties, so meaning you elect the party who would sit as president and vice president. While this is again an innovative measure or pattern after the US, the problem here is, okay, whoever controls the executive will also most likely control the legislative, and the issue of party shifting, party loyalties, has not also been addressed. There's a limit as to when you can shift parties. I think 6 months is stipulated.
6 months after the election.
Yes,
for a party
but again,
can
these
shift.
limits are also very limited in nature. Because when you say, I believe in this political party, you believe in the ideology, in the vision, in the platform of the party, and nothing can change that because it's your belief. Otherwise, we go through that process wherein the classic quote of Manuel Quezon is, the loyalty to my party ends where the loyalty to my country begins. So that can always be invoked by any politician when he wants to go out or shift to another party. Of course, the challenges are enormous, because in a democracy, what's needed are strong political institutions, including the party system. But again, limiting it to a two-party system, I think would would constrict the democratic space that we're having now. And that has been proven in a post-World War II governments, no, leading to the declaration of martial law. So that's my concerns, Mr. Speaker, good sponsor, about this two-party model. And of course, the U.S. is not the best model, no, given now. I mean,
Yes.
we all know what's happening to the U.S. No? Even if it's a multi-ethnic state right now, but the conservatives have lorded it over there. Now, Mr. Speaker, good sponsor, as to the issue of course, the issue of well, specifics. You know? We say here that we will be having 300 members in the House of Representatives. No? So these 300 will be fixed. No? Right
Yes.
now we had 292, and we just added, I think, 8 legislative districts. No? So with the adoption of a constitution that limits it to 300, then there will be no more provision for new legislative districts. Would that be the correct interpretation,
Mr. Speaker, it's like I thank the Honorable Tom Villarin for mentioning this provision. This is found actually in Article 8 of the proposed federal constitution. It says that the legislative power is vested in Congress, which shall consist of the Senate and the House of Representatives. And in Section 2, the House of Representatives shall be composed of not more than 300 members. 80% of the members of the House of Representatives shall be elected by majority vote, where each legislative electoral district shall have 1 seat in Congress. And the remaining 20% will be through a party list system registered in the sectoral parties or organization.
So there would still be a mechanism to add new districts?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So now, as to my appreciation about the party list system of representation, because here, this would be my last question, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, because in the original concept of party list representation, those that can participate are national, regional, and sectoral parties, organizations. But here in the draft, it says only sectoral parties. No? Assuming that
Sectoral parties or organizations, Your Honor.
sectoral parties or organization, but it is still sectoral. No national political party.
May I add, Your Honor, that they shall represent the marginalized sectors of the Philippine society, which shall include labor, peasants, fisher folk,
Yes,
urban poor, indigenous cultural
So
communities.
there's a
elderly.
labor sectoral party, a fisher folk. So they can have as many sectoral parties as they like. But what is now being excluded are the national political parties registered. And of course, the regional political parties. No?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Now, again, it's mainly because of this
two-party system.
Party system. No? And again, as I've said, that is my main reservations because fledgling political parties no, who cannot challenge the big two parties no, will have to start from engaging in the party list and later in districts no, and who doesn't have the resources. No? And mind you, Mr. Speaker, good sponsor, I have also questions with regards to the qualifications no, of the members of the House of Representatives being a college degree holder. It has been discussed, no? And again, I manifest no, my objections to this being a provision that will only give opportunities to a small segment of society and is considered as anti-poor. Of course, putting qualifications no, that that disparage or discriminate against those who have not gained their literacy but their degrees, no, but otherwise have the innovations, the creative skills, no, will also be an obstacle to democracy. Now, as to the point of why having this constitution at this very short time, that is the elephant in the room. I mean, going through this process to have a constitution passed, but we don't really have the time. So I don't know what will be the next move. Either we adopt this or we continue on with the discussions, Mr. Speaker, good sponsor. But I do hope that the discussions have been fair. We have not been restricted to say our things. And I do appreciate that candor from the leadership that we discuss this matter. And for that, Mr. Speaker, good sponsor, I thank you for this opportunity to be heard.
I thank you also, Mr. Speaker. And
Majority
Honorable
Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we suspend consideration of resolution of both houses number 15.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we resume consideration of House Bill number 6425 in Committee Report number 389, and please direct the Secretary General to read the title of the measure.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the bill.
House Bill 6425, an act prescribing an urgent, comprehensive, and integrated land-based traffic management policy to effectively address the traffic congestion crisis in Metro Manila, Metropolitan Cebu, and Metropolitan Davao, and appropriating funds therefore.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the parliamentary status is that we are in the period of sponsorship and debate. I move that we recognize the Honorable Chairman of the Committee on Transportation, Representative Cesar Sarmiento.
Interpellate.
The Honorable Sarmiento is recognized.
To interpolate, Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Edgar Sarmiento.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Majority Leader, would the sponsor yield to some question?
With pleasure.
Mr. Sponsor, this representation wants to ask, when was this Traffic Crisis Act approved or reported out by the committee?
Now, if my memory serves me right, it was reported out by our committee last November 19, 2017.
So it's more than a year, Mr. Sponsor?
More than a year, yes, Mr. Speaker.
During that time, how much was the cost of traffic congestion to our economy?
Well, there was a JICA study that pegged the economic cost of traffic at 2.4 billion pesos per day. That was a 2014 study. So in September 27, the figure would be more than 3 billion per day in 2017.
So, dito po sa nawawalang pera sa atin, kung nasa 3 bilyon ang nawawala po sa bansa, kung isang taon nang dumaan, naglalapit po ito sa almost 1.2 billion. Ang nawala po sa economic productivity losses brought about by the traffic congestion. Tama po ba?
Tama po yun.
Sa ngayon po, 2018, Mr. Sponsor, if ever the math of 2014 was 2.8 billion, magkano na po ngayon? Sabihin natin a year after.
Siguro, kung sa ngayon, it would be around 4 billion or more per day.
4 na bilyon. Pagkatapos ng isang taon, lumabas yung committee report. Sayang po. In short, ginawan ko po ito ng math, no? Lumalabas na nawawalan po ang bansa ng almost 1.5 billion pesos annually. Almost 30% of the budget we just passed. Tama po ba, Mr. Sponsor?
Tama po yun.
So, ito pong tinatawag natin na economic productivity losses brought about by traffic congestion, ito pa bang dahilan bakit pinapasa natin itong Traffic Crisis Act?
Totoo po yun, Mr. Speaker. Dahil po, para sa kaalaman ng iba, ang traffic congestion po ay may negatibong epekto sa ating kalusugan, sa kalusugan ng ating mga mamamayan, not just because of pollution-related sickness, but because of emotional or psychological effects. Nandyan po yung mga kababayan natin na umiinit ng ulo pag sa traffic. So ang tawag diyan road rage and depression. So siyempre pag may chaos or kaguluhan, minsan naiisip natin na may korupsyon dahil ang ating mga kababayan people will be resorting to bribery just to allow illegal parking or illegal terminals. And personally, sa ating mga kababayan, may epekto to sa ating mga mahal sa buhay dahil kulang na ang oras na naibibigay natin sa ating mga mahal sa buhay. Gigising ka ng maaga para pumasok, tapos yung mga anak mo ay tulog pa. At pagbalik mo naman, dahil sa traffic, pagdating mo sa bahay, late na sa gabi, at yung mga anak mo naman ay tulog na. So yan po ang mga epekto ng traffic crisis natin.
Salamat po, distinguished sponsor. Ito pong panukalang Batas 6425, ilang beses po na hearing ito sa committee? Maaari po bang malaman?
Well, kung aking matatandaan, hindi lang po dito sa four corners of the House of Representatives, sa kabuuan, nagkaroon tayo ng 13 hearings at nagkaroon pa tayo ng public consultation. Kasama po kayo doon sa Davao at sa Cebu.
Ito po bang sa maikling usapan po, napag-aralan po ng gusto itong Traffic Crisis Bill? Tama po ba?
Tama po yun.
Ulitin ko lang po, ang coverage po nitong Traffic Crisis Act natin ay saan pong mga lugar, distinguished sponsor?
Nakasaad po ito sa Section 4 ng proposed measure. Nakalagay po dito, this act shall be limited in scope, application, and effect to the metropolitan areas. And based on Section 3, definition of terms, ang definition po ng metropolitan areas to cover Metropolitan Manila, Metropolitan Cebu, and Davao City.
Sa sinasabi po ninyo, distinguished sponsor, ito po ay napag-aralan ng gusto, hindi lang napag-aralan, tiningnan po ng akto. Tama po ba?
Tama po yun, Mr. Speaker.
Dito po naman sa tinatanong itong emergency power, ito bang panukalang batas ay naisunod ba ang saligang batas ng Konstitusyon natin na 1987?
Well, tungkol po sa
ito pong emergency power po.
Well, dito po sa panukalang batas, hindi po. We have not even cited or invoked such emergency power under this bill. So, again, sinasabi ko po that we are using the plenary powers of Congress like we do with other legislative concerns to prescribe urgent and comprehensive solutions to the traffic crisis.
Ito pong Traffic Crisis Act, distinguished sponsor, matanong ko lang uli, bakit po nahirapan ang Metro Manila pag-manage? Ilan po bang local government units comprises Metro Manila?
Pag binanggit po natin, ang Metro Manila ay composed of 16 cities and 1 municipality po yon. So, kung halimbawa sa kahabaan po ng EDSA, marami pong LGUs ang covered po ng EDSA.
Ibig pong sabihin sa sinasabi po ninyong kadami pong local government units at may sarili-sarili po silang mga ordinances, nagkakaroon po ba ng epekto ito sa traffic?
May masamang epekto po yan dahil hindi, kumbaga, nagko-conflict minsan, pwede dito, pagdaan mo, paglampas mo ng isang syudad, iba na naman ang patakaran. So nagkakaroon po ng kaguluhan at nagre-resulta po sa kaguluhan or traffic sa kalsada.
Ito pong panukalang batas 6425, distinguished sponsor, malaki po bang maitutulong dito kung sakali maipasa ito?
Malaking tulong po ito. It will be able to mitigate the problem of traffic. So kailangan po na magkaroon ng harmonization ng mga iba't ibang ordinansa ukol sa traffic.
May nakasad po rito sa panukalang batas natin tungkol po rito sa mga priority projects. Pwede ko po bang malaman ano po bang itong, sabihin natin, mga priority projects rito na napaka-importante na makakatulong po na masulba itong trapiko sa Metro Manila, sa Cebu at saka sa Davao?
Well, considering po na maiksi lang ang panahon, ang buhay ng nasabing panukalang batas, kaya bibigyan natin ng pansin ang mga tinatawag na priority projects na nakadefine po yan sa Section 27 ng panukalang batas na I will read, no? Pursuant to the enumerated policies of this Act, it is hereby declared and recognized that the traffic crisis is in the nature of a man-made calamity or catastrophe, that time is of the essence and immediate action is urgently necessary to prevent damage to the national economy, public health and social welfare, or loss of life and property as a result of the traffic crisis, and that there is an urgent necessity as well as to restore, improve, and make accessible vital transportation services, infrastructure, and facilities. And base dun po sa definition ng Section 3F, priority projects refer to the projects identified by the traffic chief and submitted to the Joint Congressional Oversight and Committee as priority or critical undertaking for the purpose of immediately alleviating and managing the traffic crisis.
Kaya pala po, distinguished sponsor, pinabigyan po tayo ng oportunidad, makita po ang ibang lugar na kapares rin natin. At nagkakaproblema pala tayo dahil sa kadami ng LGU, samantalang yung pinuntahan na lugar na kaparehas rin natin ang problema sa Bogota, na mas malaki sa atin. No? Ang Metro Manila po, mayroon lang tayong land area na 619 square kilometers. Ang Bogota naman nasa 1,775. Ang kakaiba, iisa lang po ang command, isang mayor, samantalang tayo, iba-iba. Siguro yan pong problema.
Totoo po yun. Totoo po yun. Nakita po natin na iisa lang po ang boses, iisa po ang batas patungkol sa trapiko, kaya madaling maintindihan at hindi naguguluhan ang mga drivers and operators doon po sa Bogota.
Dito po sa panukalang batas, sino po ang maging sabihin natin magre-renda? Halimbawa pumasa ito, na kaya niyang sabihin natin, kumbinsihin ang iba-ibang namumuna sa local government units po, Mr. Sponsor.
Dito po sa panukalang batas, ang magiging traffic SAR, no? Siyang mamumuno, ang secretary po ng Department of Transportation ang magiging madedesignate as de facto traffic czar.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished sponsor, isa po sa kasamahan natin sa House of Representatives ang isang, sabihin natin, nakikilala at nirerespeto ang Senior Minority Leader na si Honorable Lito Atienza. Nakikinig po ako sa mga tinatanong niya. Isa po sa pinakasabihin natin concern niya ay itong corruption. Saan po ba nanggagaling itong sabihin natin nagiging issue niya tungkol po sa corruption? Gusto ko pang malaman, Mr. Speaker, distinguished sponsor, maaari po ba?
Para maiwasan po natin ang mga hindi para matugunan natin or ang implementasyon po ng pagpapatupad po ng traffic crisis ay walang bahid na korupsyon, naglagay po tayo ng mga provision patungkol po sa mga opisyales sa pagpapatupad ng pagbidding or sa pag-implement. May mga provisions doon na pwede silang liable or kasuhan. Ito ang tinatawag natin na naglagay po ng safety nets ang Traffic Crisis Bill patungkol po sa korupsyon. At nakalagay po ito sa Section 31, liability for priority projects. No? At naka-indicate po doon yung mga tao kung hindi po nila sinunod ang batas ayon sa pagbidding or sa pag-implement, ay makakasuhan po sila by citing this particular provision. And tungkol naman sa ibang tao, sa mababang mga opisyales, pag hindi nila ginampanan yung trabaho para maging maayos po ang ating kalsada, yung last two paragraph ng Section 39, so any violation or non-compliance with this act that qualifies as a criminal offense under the revised penal code or any special penal act shall be subject to the penalties of imprisonment. So kung halimbawa public officers nakasuhan at nagkaroon ng conviction, ay may karagdagan penalty po na hindi na po sila pwedeng humawak ng pwesto sa gobyerno.
Ito po, importante po ito, Mr. Speaker, distinguished sponsor. How can we ensure that the implementing agencies are doing the policies and solutions laid out in this bill? Gusto lang po ng representanteng ito manigurado na ang mga executives po, kung lulusot man ito na maging isang batas, ay masusunod nila ang ano po ang nandito sa bill na ito. Maaari po bang malaman natin, Mr. Speaker, distinguished sponsor?
Well, masisigurado po na ang mga ahensya ng gobyerno ay ginagawa ang mga pulisiya at solusyon na nakasaad dito sa bill ay may particular provision po, and I'm referring to Section 12 on oversight committee, na magkakaroon ng oversight committee composed of the House of Representatives and the Senate. No? So nakasaad po dito, it shall be composed of the Senate President, Speaker of the House, Chairperson ng Committee on Public Services, Chairperson of the Committee on Transportation, Chairperson of the Committee on Finance, Chairperson of the Committee on Appropriations, Member of the Committee on Public Services, Member of the Committee on Transportation. So, magkakaroon po ng regular na meeting para tingnan po kung talagang sinusunod. At magre-report po ang Traffic Chief sa Oversight Committee para matuntunan, malaman na sinusunod yung mga pulisiya na nakasaad po dito sa Traffic Chief.
So, yung panghuli na lang pong katanungan natin, ulitin ko lang po, gaano po ba ka-importante itong bill na ito, distinguished sponsor, Mr. Speaker?
Well, alam naman po lahat, apektado ang lahat, nararanasan ng lahat kung gaano kahirap ang buhay natin sa kalsada. May mga commitments, meetings tayong pupuntahan, hindi natin napupuntahan dahil po sa bagal, standstill ang nangyayari dahil sa problema natin kinakaharap ngayon tungkol sa trapiko. So ito po makakatulong, it will be able to mitigate the problem of traffic kung ito'y mapapasa po ng Kongreso.
Wala na po kayo ibang tanong. Salamat po sa pagkakataon sa mga tanong at nasagot po ninyo. Maraming salamat po. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you so much, distinguished sponsor.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, there being no other interpellations, I move that we close the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? The period of amendment is open.
There being no amendments from the
excuse-
committee or the or from the individual members,
Meron. Amendment. Amendment. Meron.
Mr. Speaker, we have
Majority Leader.
amendments from the floor. May we know who will propose the amendments? Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Edgar Sarmiento for
The
some
Honorable
individual
Sarmiento
amendments.
is recognized.
Pwede ka na? Pwede ka?
Sana po may counting amendment dito. Pwede po ba, number 1, alisin po yung policy, remove the word policy in the title of the bill, kung po pwede po ba?
May we know, Mr. Speaker, if this is acceptable to the sponsor?
What is the say
yeah.
of the distinguished sponsor?
This representation interposes no objection to the
With
proposal
that,
of
Mr. Speaker, I move that we
Mr. Speaker.
approve the amendment as stated by the Honorable Edgar Sarmiento.
Majority Leader. Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Are there more, Mr. Speaker? Do you have further amendments?
Yes.
Mayroon pa po, Mr. Speaker, Majority Leader. Dito po sa, nasasaad po sa Section 1, short title, Traffic Crisis Act of 2018, makisama, nagkaisa. In lieu of the year 2017, nasa 2018 na po tayo.
May we know if this is acceptable to the
Yes.
sponsor?
No objection, Mr. Speaker.
With that, Mr. Speaker, I move that we approve the individual amendment as proposed by the Honorable Sarmiento.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the amendment is approved.
Dito naman po sa Section 5, the duration of the act, pwede po ba igdagdag sa atin sa item B, Section 9 and 10, on the existence of the Metropolitan Cebu Traffic Coordination Council and the Davao Traffic Administrator, without prejudice to the prerogative and power of Congress to replace the same and create new development authorities covering the said areas, and Section 11 of their policy-making power, including that of the MMDA.
Does the sponsor accept, Mr. Speaker?
Yes, I accept.
With that, I move that we approve the individual amendment as proposed by the Honorable Sarmiento.
Is there any objection? The amendment is approved.
Dito naman po, Mr. Speaker, distinguished sponsor, Majority Leader, Section 7 po, the powers and function of the traffic chief. Pwede po ba tanggalin na lang po natin ang last paragraph?
Does the sponsor accept, Mr. Speaker?
Yes, I accept, Mr. Speaker.
I move that we approve the individual amendment as proposed
Is there
by
any
the Honorable
objection?
Sarmiento.
Hearing none, the amendment is approved.
Dito naman po sa Section 13, Traffic Management Plan, pwede po bang alisin natin ang last item and renumbered accordingly?
Does the sponsor accept, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker?
Item S. Yes, I accept, Mr. Speaker.
I therefore move that we approve the individual amendment as proposed by the Honorable
Is there
Sarmiento.
any objection? Hearing none, the amendment is approved.
Mr. Speaker, Majority Leader, dito naman po sa Section 24, Professionals Drivers Examination, pwede po bang ibago natin ang date to January 2019 to read as follow? Section 24, Professional Drivers Examination, effective January 1, 2019, licensed professional drivers operating PUBs in the metropolitan areas must undergo testing and examination prior to the issuance of a new professional driver's licenses.
Does the sponsor accept, Mr. Speaker?
Yes, I accept.
I therefore move that we approve the individual amendment as proposed by the Honorable Sarmiento.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the amendment is approved.
Dito naman po sa Section 43, sa repealing clause, maaari po bang alisin natin ang item I at renumbered accordingly?
Does the sponsor accept, Mr. Speaker?
Yes, I accept, Mr. Speaker.
I therefore move that we approve the individual amendment as proposed by the Honorable Sarmiento.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, amendment is approved.
Panghuli na lang po, Mr. Speaker, Majority Leader, distinguished sponsor, dito naman po sa Section 43, repealing clause, item F, it should be Republic Act number 4136, not 4126.
Does the sponsor accept, Mr. Speaker?
Yes, I accept, Mr. Speaker.
With that, I move that we approve the individual amendment as proposed by the gentleman.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, amendment is approved.
Maraming salamat po, Mr. Speaker, Majority Leader, distinguished sponsor.
There being no other amendments, Mr. Speaker, I move that we close the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? The period of amendment is closed.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we approve on second reading House Bill number 8645.
Is there any objection? Or
We
those,
vote, Mr. Speaker.
or those in favor of House Bill 6425 say aye. Those who oppose say nay. The ayes have it. House Bill 6425 is hereby approved on second reading.
Mr. Speaker, may we greet the guest of the distinguished gentleman from One Pacman, the Honorable Michael Romero. We have here in the gallery General Thompson Silancion of the Partido Federal ng Pilipinas. He is retired, Mr. Speaker.
The guest of Honorable Romero, please rise. Welcome to the House of Representatives.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we take up business for Thursday and Friday. Local bills, Mr. Speaker.
Is there an objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we take up the omnibus approval on second reading of the following local measures contained in their respective committee reports. House Bill numbers 8580, 8581, 8582, 8587, 8591, 8612, 8631, 8632, 8634, 8642, 8643, 8644, 8648, and 6764. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
All those who are in favor of aforementioned bill, say aye.
No, Mr. Speaker, we have to go through the sponsorship first, Mr. Speaker. So I move that we open the period of sponsorship and debate for these measures.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
For these measures, Mr. Speaker, may we have the explanatory note of the respective bills as the sponsorship speeches.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, there being no interpellations on this, I move that we close the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? The period of amendment is closed.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we close the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? The period of amendment is open.
Mr. Speaker, we are, I move that we take up House Resolution, Mr. Speaker, House Resolution number 2315 in Committee Report 941, and please direct our Secretary General to read the title of the resolution.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the bill.
Marami pa.
House Resolution
Mr. Speaker, before we
2315.
proceed, I move for reconsideration of my motion to take up the resolution because I think we have not approved the local bills on second reading. With that, Mr. Speaker, I move that we approve on second reading the following local bills. House Bills number 850, 851, 8582, 8587, 8591, 8612, 8631, 8632, 8634, 8642, 8643, 8644, 8648, 6764. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
All those are in favor of aforementioned bill, say aye. Those who oppose, say nay.
That's the problem when you're in a hurry, Mr. Speaker.
Ayes have it. The aforementioned bill is approved on second reading.
Mr. Speaker, we are in receipt of the Bicameral Conference Committee report on the disagreeing provisions of House Bill number 7742 and Senate Bill number 1297, amending Republic Act number 7653, otherwise known as the New Central Bank Act. In accordance with the rules, I move that we ratify the said Bicameral Conference Committee report.
Is there an objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
We are in receipt of a Bicameral Conference Committee report on the disagreeing provisions of House Bill number 6604 and Senate Bill number 1985, providing for reasonable rates for political advertisements. I move that we ratify the said Bicameral Conference.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
I move that we designate the following members to the Bicameral Conference Committee on the disagreeing provisions of House Bill number 8078 and Senate Bill number 1454 on removing the restrictions imposed on the registration, acquisition, encumbrance, alienation, transfer, and conveyance of land covered by free patents. They are as follows, Mr. Speaker. Representatives Doyle Son, Arthur Yap, Joey Sarcet, Sarte Salceda, Anthony Bravo, Orestes Salon, and Jose Christopher Belmonte. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the mentioned representative are designated to the Bicameral Conference Committee on the disagreeing provision of House Bill number 8078 and Senate.
Mr. Speaker, as recommended by the Committee on Rules, I move that we recommit House Bill numbers 4387, 5086, 5301, 6405, under Committee Report numbers 384, 374, 383, and 382, respectively, to the Committee on Natural Resources.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we include additional co-authors to House Bill numbers 8590, 8628, 8629, 8636, 8637, 8645, and 8649 as contained in the list to be submitted by the Committee on Rules.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
So now, Mr. Speaker, I move that we take up House Resolution number 23185 as contained in Committee Report 941. And please direct the Secretary General to read the title of the resolution.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the bill.
House Resolution number 2315. Resolution urging the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, the Department of Tourism, and the National Museum, in coordination with local government units, to preserve and restore houses of Philippine heroes and presidents for the promotion of Philippine history and cultural heritage.
Majority Leader? Is
Mr. Speaker, I move that we adopt the aforesaid resolution.
there an objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, likewise, I move that we take up House Resolution number 2328 and please direct our Secretary General to read the title of the resolution.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the bill.
House Resolution number 2328, resolution expressing the profound condolences of the House of Representatives to the family of Gualberto B. Lumawig, former governor and representative of the province of Ifugao.
Majority Leader?
Mr. Speaker, I move that we adopt the aforesaid resolution.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, on part of the majority, we would like to, the Committee on Rules would like to elect Congresswoman Vinnie Nola Ortega, Vice Congressman Bingbong Crisologo. So move, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we amend Rule 9, Section 28 of our rules by deleting the entire subsection MM, Oversight, and in lieu thereof insert a subsection entitled Public Accounts, 25 members, all matters directly and principally relating to the examination and scrutiny of audit reports on the performance of all government agencies to determine their adherence to our compliance with the plans and programs authorized through appropriations approved by the legislator. Mr. Speaker, as a consequence of the previous amendment, so moved, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, as a consequence of the previous amendment, I move that the subsection under Section 28 be renumbered accordingly. So moved, Mr. Speaker.
Is Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we elect to the Committee on Public Accounts the members previously elected to the Committee on Oversight, namely as chairperson, Representative Danilo E. Suarez, as vice chairpersons, Representative Rodante D. Marcoleta, Victoria Isabel G. Noel, Cristina Roa Puno, Alexandra P. Gonzalez, and as members, Representative Michael Romero, Ron Salo, Vinnie Nola Ortega, Deogracias Victor Savillano, Rosana V. Vergara, Jose Enrique Garcia III, Marilyn B. Alonte, Wilter Palma, Marlene Primicias Agabas, Lawrence Fortun, Bernadette Herrera D., Florida Robes, Johnny T. Pimentel, Oscar Garin Jr., Ann K. Hofer, Arthur R. Defensor Jr., and Rogelio Espina. So moved, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, on the part of the minority, Congressman Lito Atienza, Congresswoman Juliet Marie Ferrer, Congressman Peter Jan Calderon, and Congressman Strike Revilla. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Boss, okay na tayo? Mr. Speaker, I move that we adjourn session until tomorrow, the 28th of November, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Session is adjourned until 4 o'clock. 3 o'clock in the PM. Kamali siya.
Yep.